Okay, I think we are live. Can you guys hear me loudly and clearly? I'm just looking for my mobile phone, actually. Mrs. Ultra, can you grab my mobile phone for me, please, Mrs. U? Actually, I've got it. It's fine. I forgot to send out a notification to the people on Twitter to let us know that we are live. But can you press one if you can hear me loudly and clearly? Yet again, I have come to you all very, very unprepared. I don't know where to start, really. Well, I kind of do know where to start, but let's start with the following. All right, let's start with the following. Let's start with the following. You ready for the whoosh? Let's get ready for the whoosh. There we go. There we go. Got the graphics nice and back again. My question to you, and I'm going to put a question in a poll as well, actually. I'm an idiot. I should have got this already ready, but I'm just going to fire up a quick poll. I want to ask you guys. Regardless of what you think about whether it was a low blow or not a low blow, it was so borderline. We'll talk a little bit about. I don't really want to go about is it a low blow, is it not a low blow too much, because it's been done to death, right? It was very, very borderline. We'll talk about it a quick bit in a second, right? But I want to ask you guys something else. I want to ask you guys what you think about this. And I asked it last night, but I want to get your guys' official views on this, yeah? The question I'm going to ask you in the poll to start off is the following. If Oleksandr Usyk had landed the exact same shot on Daniel Dubois last night in Poland, would the referee have started a count? Yes or no? So if you give me a sec. Okay. If the roles were reversed and Usyk landed that body shot on Daniel Dubois, would the ref have started a 10 count? There's the question. It's now in the poll. Sorry about that. So now for that, so we'll start off with that. For those of you who are in YouTube, we've got 65 people here in the chat. Welcome to you all. Only 20 likes. If a few of you can hit more of you can hit the like button, that would be absolutely fantastic. But I want to ask you, for those people who are saying it was definitely low, yeah? Right? And it might be, right? But I'm just saying. For those people who are saying it was definitely low, what are people talking about? It was obviously low. You know, there's no question, there's no debate, right? A bit like Russ Amber. I like Russ Amber. I've had a little bit of interaction with Russ. I think Russ Amber is a great guy. You know, he's a great guy, Russ Amber. I've got a lot of time and a lot of respect for Russ Amber, right? But in this video on IFL TV, Russ Amber is claiming, right, that anybody that thinks that isn't a low blow is a complete moron, yeah? And that he said there should be no debate over it whatsoever. And he turned around and he said, they said there should be no debate over it whatsoever. And that he said that IFL TV shouldn't even be discussing it. Did you guys see Russ Amber? It's in this video at the top here. He's saying that IFL TV shouldn't even be discussing or raising the point of whether it was a low blow or not, because it was so clearly not a low blow. I would vehemently disagree with Russ Amber about that. The reason why I would disagree with Russ Amber about that, and I think Russ Amber is wrong to try and shut down discussion on the issue of a low blow, is that so many professional boxers are split on it. Josh Taylor thinks it was a clean shot. Michael Conlan thinks it was a clean shot. Carl Frampton thinks it was a clean shot. Michael Hunter thinks it was a clean shot. Timothy Bradley thinks it was a borderline shot. I've seen a lot of discord from professional fighters on there, on social media. And people who have fought all kinds of levels, from world level to European level. I've seen a whole host of professional fighters. Sonny Edwards thinks it was a legitimate shot. So if it's something that's not obvious to professional boxers. If professional boxers, world champions and such, right, and world level fighters are split over whether it was a legitimate shot or not, then that kind of tells you that people who think it was a low blow aren't idiots. And that Russ Amber really, in my opinion, shouldn't be attempting to shut down discussion on the issue. And I was a bit annoyed with some of the comments I say in terms of Russ Amber, questioning the integrity of some of the interviewers for simply asking the question about what he thought about the low blow. I just thought that was a bit bizarre to me. To me, what I'm trying to say is I think it was borderline. Yeah. And I think, like I said, it comes down to what was said in the rules meeting, right? And what was said between the referee and the fighters pre-fight about, what was, legal and what was not illegal. And until we really know that, I think it is a bit pointless. But one thing that is interesting and nobody's picked up on, and this might not be the case, right? This guy might be telling porky pies, right? But what I do find interesting, and again, like I said before, I think it was borderline, but I will say this, right? And this is interesting, right? Andy Ayling, who is right-hand man of Frank Warren, in this video here, Andy Ayling, he states that in the rules meeting, that they specifically made requests, to the referee to define what was legal and what was illegal RE body shots. And I don't know if Andy Ayling's telling the truth, right? But according to Andy Ayling, he's saying that the referee said that there's an imaginary line between both hips, both of Usyk's hips. And he said that's what the referee defined as below the belt in the rules meeting. So does that make sense? Press one if you're with me. Press TV if you're not with me on that. But Andy Ayling says in the rules meeting they discussed what was the line and what was above the line, and allegedly the referee in the rules meeting said there's a line between both of the hips, and that was to be the line. Now, if that's the case. If that's the case, I can certainly see why people are upset about what happened last night. Does that make sense? Press one if you're Press TV. It all comes down to the referee, doesn't it? I think it's borderline, to be honest with you. I don't think it's either or not, I think it's right on the limit, that shot. It's right on the limit, and it's referee's discretion. I don't think it was a horrendous decision either way. Let me know if I'm being right on that or wrong. I think it's hard. What I do think is I've seen online, and this is the problem with YouTube. YouTube should allow people like us, content creators like us, to play video from fights, because I think it's really outrageous that we can't settle this by just fucking playing the video. Because I think, to be honest with you, Dubois, the case for Dubois looks better when you actually see it in motion. I think what's happened here online, unfortunately, is what people have done online is people online are taking stills and they're taking photos of the shot. So you see this, people are claiming this is a shot of the low blow when it's a completely different punch, right? People are also being very, very clever, and they're taking stills from the footage of the low blow, and they're taking stills literally just before the punch lands to make it look like the punch landed really, really below the belt. Like, there's all kinds of deceivery and trickery and fraudery, right, that are going on the internet, because obviously, like I said before, certain people, like I said before, have their own agendas and want to present what they will. That annoys me as well. There's a lot of misinformation being spread about this. I've got a few people doing this. What they've done is they've taken a still of the body shot, and then they've just gone a couple frames before it's landed, and they're saying, look, it's right below, it's not even close, it's right below the belt line. It's like, well, the shot hasn't even landed yet. You need to go a few frames ahead. There's all kinds of trickery and deceivery. And we could decipher this ourselves if YouTube and content creators were allowed to actually review the footage in real time. We're not watching the whole fight. We should be allowed to review the footage. But it comes down to what that ref said in the rules meeting, didn't he? What did the ref do? Because Usyk's shorts were high. Now, let me just get on to one thing and then we'll move on from this thing. Tony Bellew, right? It's full of shit as usual, right? This is Tony Bellew. Let me make sure you guys can see this clearly on the screen here. So this is Tony Bellew. Now, Tony Bellew's got an agenda. We all know what Tony Bellew's agenda is. I thought his comments towards Daniel Dubois were absolutely disgusting, by the way, because there's no reason to basically insinuate that Daniel Dubois is a quitter. Whether you like Daniel Dubois or whether you think he lost the fight, he hasn't hurt anybody. Would you agree with that? Like, Daniel Dubois has never really said anything offensive to anybody other than Joe Joyce's mum. The only person to ever have, really any kind of beef with Daniel Dubois is Joe Joyce and Joe Joyce's mum. And that's about it, like, innit? Like, he's a 23-year-old boy who, lives the life, doesn't get into trouble, doesn't go out drinking, doesn't sniff cocaine, doesn't do any of that stuff. He goes out, he lives the life, and all he does is get in the ring and try his best. So I think Tony Bellew's comments that we're about to read now about Dubois are fucking disgusting. But we'll talk about Tony Bellew in a second, right? But this is what Tony Bellew says. He says, in fact, I'll read his tweet. What am I doing reading the headline from the Daily Mail? If the Daily Mail decides to load sometime this year, which it's thinking about doing because it's a piece of garbage website, here we go. I might be able to actually have a look at what's going on. Sorry about that. Here we go. So I know it's taking a long time to render on the screen, but bear with me. This is what Tony Bellew says, right? He says, anything below the navel is classed as low in boxing. Okay. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. That's the rules. Your shorts shouldn't cover your navel. Listen, because if they do, the belt can be hit. Now, just remember that, what Tony Bellew said there. Anything below the navel is classed as low in boxing. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. That's the rules. Your shorts shouldn't cover your navel because if they do, the belt can be hit. This picture says 1,000 words. Spew it once and you'll spew it again is also another fact. And what Bellew's done is he's taken a picture of Oleksandr Usyk post-fight after he's pulled his fucking shorts down, where you can see his navel clearly above his belly button. And now people are now running with this photo and saying, oh, this proves that the shot was clearly below his navel. But there's just one fucking problem with that, isn't there? And you know what that problem is. Problem with that is, if we go and have a look here at the picture of Oleksandr Usyk here, after he appears, and I think this is after he gets up. This looks to me like after he's just got up from the shot. You can see his trunks are covering his navel. Can you see how disingenuous and how much misinformation is being put out by people about this? It's appalling. It's appalling. And they know that as well. You've taken a shot of Usyk after the fight's fucking finished, when he's fucking pulled his shorts down. And you're saying you can clearly see his navel are above the shorts, so it's definitely a low blow, and nobody should be allowed to discuss this. But you can clearly see in what looks to be the footage of him getting up, I think from the low blow, you can clearly see his shorts are above his navel. There's loads of shots of him mid-fight. Shorts were above his navel for the whole fight. So what I'm trying to say is, I think it's borderline. Honestly, I think it's borderline. I think it's borderline. But again, I want to ask something. What if the roles were reversed? What if Usyk had landed that shot on Daniel Dubois? Yeah, 1-2 pivot. 1-2 pivot says the Dan Rafael one was abysmal. He showed it. Yeah, exactly. There are people out there. We've already shown it. There are people out there that are literally showing completely different punches. Like this one. Like Dan Rafael showed this. If I can find it. This is what Dan Rafael showed. I mean, he is absolutely out there, isn't he, Raphael? Raphael showed this. Excuse me. Now you should be able to see it on your screen. There you go. Dan Raphael showed this shot here. And he's saying, oh, this clearly proves it was a fucking, it was a low blow. It's a completely different punch and a completely different punch. But this is what happens when you get people who haven't been in the ring talking about boxing. Shut the fuck up. You've never taken a punch in your life, man. Shut the fuck up. If you weigh 300 pounds and you can barely see your own penis in the shower, we don't need to know your opinion, yeah, about fucking which shots hurt and which shots don't hurt. We don't need to know your opinion about You know, who quit and who didn't quit. We don't need to know your opinion on that. Just stick to giving us the results of drug tests, man. If you're 300 pounds and haven't seen your own penis in 25 years, I don't need to know anything you have to say about the actual technicalities of the sport. You don't get to. You need to go to the gym, lift some weight. There's a guy in my gym who weighs about the same as Dan Raphael. He's an animal. He's in there every single day. No excuses. Grinding, sweating, got himself a personal trainer. In a year, 2 years, that man's going to be completely transformed. He don't make no excuses, you know. He don't make no excuses. Till I see Dan Raphael, doing a superset or hitting the bag, you don't get to tell me about which fighters are quitters and which fighters are not quitters, man. You don't get to tell me which fighters are quitters and which fighters are not quitters, man. These guys need to shut the hell up. Now, let me get back to the point. If the roles were reversed and Usyk hit Dubois with the same shot, right? So if the roles were reversed and Usyk hit Dubois with the same shot, would the referee have counted? I think he would have counted. Also, can I ask you a question? If Usyk had landed the same shot on Dubois and Dubois would have spent 3-4 minutes on the canvas in the same manner that Usyk did, can I ask you a question? Genuine question. Would people would have said, Dubois is trying to quit again. Dubois wants a way out. Dubois doesn't want it. There was nothing wrong with the shot. It was a borderline shot. It was a great shot from Usyk. Dubois milking it. I'm just press one if you agree with me, press two if you disagree with me. I'm just asking the question. What if the roles were reversed and Usyk landed that shot on Dubois? Why do I have a feeling? I could be completely wrong, but why do I have a feeling that if Usyk landed that shot on Dubois, we'd be hearing the complete opposite? We'd be hearing the likes of a Tony Bellew and the usuals telling us what a great shot it was. How it was incredible shot from Usyk. It was perfect placement from Usyk. That's what Usyk is. He's a master boxer. He's a magician. It was a perfect shot. It was right on the belt line. It's okay. It wasn't clearly low. It was right on the belt line. Oh, look at Daniel Dubois. Dubois milking it. Dubois spent 4 minutes on the floor complaining to the ref and crying about it. Dubois didn't want it. You know, Dubois should have carried on and fought. He didn't want. Do you not think we would have heard the same things? But when the roles were reversed, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how it all changes, isn't it? What do you guys think about that? Do you think that if the roles were reversed, people would have changed their tune? I think they would have. What do you guys think? 100%. I think if Usyk lands that shot on Dubois, I think all we hear about is what a great shot it was. It was a master shot. It was a great shot by Usyk. It was an incredible shot, right in the pit of the stomach, and Daniel Dubois didn't want it no more. Daniel Dubois didn't want it. The people said, why is he complaining to the referee? Why is he complaining? It's terrible. Like, he should get on with it. He should get on with it. He wasn't even hitting the nut. He should get on with it. Different rules, isn't it? Do you not think, though, isn't it? It's interesting, isn't it? It seems to be different rules for different fighters. I believe if that shot was landed by Usyk on Dubois, I think the referee starts to count. I'll leave you to be the judge of that. I believe the referee starts to count, 100%. Especially with Dubois' reputation. I think last night that shot landed. I think it was a borderline shot. And I think the referee, and it's him again, isn't it? And if you look at Talk Sport, this isn't the first time Pabon's done this, has he? Because if you look at Anthony Joshua against Oleksandr Usyk, again, if you look at Joshua versus Usyk 2, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, it's a very, very similar situation, isn't it? Where Usyk's belt line, his shorts are clearly above his navel to me. Can you see on the left-hand side? Would you agree with me on that? His shorts are clearly above his navel. Joshua lands a shot right on the belt line. Usyk doesn't like the shot. The referee's jumped in 20 seconds, Louis Pabon again, and he stopped the action again. Now, listen, I think they were both borderline. Both borderline. I don't think there's a clear answer either way, but I don't know. I'm not muted, by the way. I'm just getting a tweet out on Twitter. to let people know I'm here. I forgot to do it before I thing, and I apologize for that. Right, let's go. Sorry about that. Right, we've got 216 in the chat. Right now, I've got that tweet out. We can really go. Okay, sorry about that. I had to get that tweet out because otherwise people won't know online. 216 in the chat. Please hit the like button. And I'm not here to make excuses for Dubois. I'm just saying. Just trust me. I ain't finished with Dubois. I ain't even started yet, yeah? But just bear with me on that. I just wanted to get that out. So that's my official comment on the low blow. I can see it both ways. Genuinely, I can see it both ways. Like, I don't think the referee made an appalling mistake. All right? I don't think it was an appalling mistake. It all depends to what the referee said were the rules in the rules meeting and before the fight. But according to Andy Alien, the referee said that there was an imaginary line between both of Usyk's hips, and that's what was considered the line. If so, then maybe they've got cause for concern there. And will be interesting. Frank Warren is saying that they're going to go and appeal the decision. Look, let me tell you something before we get on to Dubois. I'm starting to find the whole political nature of these Usyk fights a bit uncomfortable. I don't want anybody in this chat to discuss the war in Ukraine. All right? Simple as that. I'm not interested in discussing the war in Ukraine or what's going on with that. That's not what this show's for, right? But I am starting to get a bit uncomfortable, yeah, about the whole sort of politics around these Oleksandr Usyk fights. Press 7 if you agree with me, press 8 if you disagree, right? To be honest with you, the whole politics around it, right, it's starting to make me a bit uncomfortable. The whole politics of these Usyk fights. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's starting to get a bit, what are we doing here? Is this a boxing fight or is this a fucking UNICEF advert? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Is this a boxing fight or is this a party political broadcast? What are we doing here? The whole thing just seems a bit uncomfortable to me at the minute, to be honest with you. Do you get with me? The whole thing's making me feel very, very, very uncomfortable. With Zelensky videos being shown before the fucking fight and all this shit. And it's like, fucking hell, what are we doing here? What I want to see in boxing is, yeah, I want to see a fair fight. That's all I want to see. I don't like controversial fights. No, get the fuck out, man. Come on, what the fuck? No, that's a timeout. I told you not to talk about the war anyway. Jesus fucking Christ. I told you, don't talk about the fucking war. We're just talking about the optics. Don't talk about the war itself. And I've got people in here trying to fucking say stuff like that. Come on, man. Come on. Let's just go easy. It's a boxing channel, all right? So leave the who you think's right and wrong out of it. I don't care about that. But I'm just saying, it does seem these Usyk fights do seem to be getting more and more and more political. That's all I'm saying, which is to be expected because there's a war going on. And God bless Usyk and God bless, yeah, all of those people that are fighting and are on the front lines. God bless them and their families. You know what I mean, yeah? But it's becoming a bit uncomfortable for me, to be honest. I don't want to see politics get in the way of a boxing fight. And this is the other point I wanted to make before I start laying into Daniel Dubois. Because don't worry, this isn't about, just about targeting Usyk. I've got some very, very, very harsh stuff to say about Daniel Dubois in a second, right? But people are saying the following online. They're saying things like, well, it doesn't matter because Usyk won all the rounds anyway. But that's not how boxing works. Do you know what I mean? People are saying shit like, well, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter anyway because, Usyk was winning all the rounds anyway. Well, that's not how boxing works. Boxing doesn't work like that. We knew going into the fight, yeah, that Dubois had a puncher's chance, right? Dubois had a puncher's chance. Now, it appears he may have landed that punch. So before he goes into the fight, you say, well, he's got no chance. He's got absolutely no chance. He's only got a puncher's chance. And then when he possibly lands that punch, then people turn around and say, oh, well, that punch don't count anyway because you got dominated for the rest of the fight. Does that make sense? It's like, you just make it make sense. Before the fight, you're saying he's only got a puncher's chance. If he lands a punch, he could do something, but he's only got a one-punch chance. He lands the punch in the fight. The referee correctly or incorrectly says it's a low blow. But then you say, oh, we'll discard that punch anyway because you got dominated for the rest of the fight. Well, we knew he was going to get dominated in the fight. We knew Dubois wasn't going to win rounds against Oleksandr Usyk. We knew that. But that's not what boxing is. Boxing is about, yeah. This happens in boxing. You can get beaten round after round after round, land a shot, and end the fight. That's what boxing is. Doesn't matter how many rounds you won. Jermaine Taylor was 10 seconds away from beating Carl Froch. He would have won on points, but it doesn't matter. Do you know why? Because Carl Froch landed a clean shot and ended the fight. It doesn't matter who was winning the fight. It doesn't matter who was more dominant. If somebody lands a shot and lands a peach of a shot, then things can happen. So I can see why Dubois is upset, because when I look at that shot in real time, it don't look good. It looks pretty decent, and you look at it in real time. The stills make it look a lot worse than it actually is. When you look at it in real time and you look at it from different angles, to me, I'm not sure about it. So it is what it is. But yeah, I disagree with that. When people say like, oh, well, it doesn't count anyway. You can't forget about that shot because Usyk dominated the whole of the fight. I disagree with that. I think he was always going to dominate the whole of the fight. But the point is, he got hit with a shot. Was that shot legal or was it not? Can I just say one other thing as well? I know I'm all over the place, but I'm still not 100%. Russ Amber, yeah? Again, I have to go back. I don't know what you guys thought about this, but Russ Amber, who I love this guy, but it was bizarre, was saying he never got hit. Usyk never got hit. Can I ask you guys a question? Do you think that this is like a bit of a common thing in these Usyk fights where he gets hit and then people afterwards say he never gets hit? What the fuck are people watching? The genuine question. Like, he dominated the fight for me. Like, Usyk won every round in this fight. Usyk's a better fighter than Daniel Dubois. To me, there is no point in a rematch. And we'll talk about this in a second. There's no point in a rematch. There's no point in a rematch. So, bear with me. I'm not just digging into Usyk. But can I ask you guys a question? Is this sort of a common thing that we're seeing in the Oleksandr Usyk fights where he gets hit and then afterwards people say he never got hit once, it was a masterclass? Do you remember the first Anthony Joshua fight where this happened? Usyk never got touched, it was a masterclass. And you look at his face has got cuts and fucking black eyes and sweating all over it. Tony Bellew never hit Oleksandr Usyk. Tony Bellew couldn't touch him. Tony Bellew landed some good shots in the first 3 rounds, and the fight was fucking razor close up until Usyk started taking over the fight and got him out of there fair and square. Usyk never gets hit in fights. He doesn't get touched. Fucking, I've seen Michael Hunter land at will on Oleksandr Usyk. I've seen Marius Bridis land on. Where does this stuff come from, though? And Russ Amber's turned it around saying it was a masterclass before he said he didn't get hit. No, I saw Usyk take a few shots in there. I saw him take a few shots. Like, he was dominating the fight. He was winning the fight. He was winning the fight clearly. But Dubois landed some good shots, did he not? Landed a couple of good jabs. Landed a decent left hook. Landed a couple of body shots in there. Dubois landed some shots. It's because Usyk never got hit. Where does this shit come from? In these Usyk fights, though. With these people saying he doesn't get hit. I just think I've never seen anything fucking like this in all my years of watching boxing. I've never seen this where you get a guy who's an incredibly talented boxer, definitely a master boxer, an incredibly talented fighter. He might be the best fighter pound for pound in the sport as far as I'm concerned. I think he's incredible, right? I think he's incredible. But he has to be one of the only fighters I've seen where he gets in the ring, literally gets hit, and then people say after the fight, it was a masterclass, he never got touched. What the fuck? What the? It's bizarre. Yeah, he got hit. He got hit last night, yeah. He got hit with a couple of body shots. And I think he was actually, and I don't know what you guys think, I think he felt more than one of those body shots. What do you guys think about that? I think he felt more than one of them body shots. More than one. I think Dubois landed a couple of body shots that he didn't like. That's my opinion. I could be wrong on that, but it is what it is. I just think some of the narratives, I hate to use that word, but some of the narratives are bizarre. I've never seen anything like it. Usyk got in the ring, he never got touched. Same shit with the Anthony Joshua fight. I'll show you. Mental that was. Started noticing around that post fight for Usyk and AJ. Look. And you go up and see it was a great performance. I think it's his best performance, right? I think it's his best performance to date. But Lord Jesus Christ, I had people come in, and I think Shevon's been saying this for ages. People turning around and saying he never got touched. He got in there with AJ first time around. He just didn't get hit. AJ couldn't touch him. What's this stuff that you hear about? AJ couldn't touch him. Nobody, Fury couldn't touch him. Wilder couldn't touch him. Like Usyk goes in the ring, he don't get hit. Look at the state. What the fuck? Like what? What the fuck? I just don't know what people are watching. Like it's bizarre. It's fucking bizarre, man. Never seen anything like it. The second fight against Anthony Joshua. Oh my, Usyk was, I mean, you know, he was never hurt. He was fucking hurt, man. That second fight with AJ, he dominated the whole fight. He deserved to win the fight. But in the 9th and the 10th round, he was hurt bad. He was hurt. What do you guys think? Am I lying on my, is this an agenda? It's bizarre, isn't it? He was hurt. Anthony Joshua hurt him in round 9 and round 10. Simple as that. Just admit it. The guy was hurt and he came back and he boxed superbly. We're hurt, man. Oh, he never hurt. AJ never hurt him at all. That was just a touch. He was never in trouble. He was fucking hurt, man. I just think it's bizarre, these narratives about Usyk. Like, I think it's, I don't know, I'm not going to say anything, but I think it's bizarre. This narrative that he doesn't get hit in fights, he's untouchable, he's unbeatable. People are just rewriting history, in my opinion. I have to be honest with you. People are rewriting history. Can I tell you something about Usyk? Right? Let's just tell the fucking truth about Usyk, right? Look at all his performances at heavyweight. And let me say one last thing and I'm going to lay into Dubois, right? Here's another thing about Usyk. Do you know the Chisora fight? He goes around to the media and he tells the media, legit, and people eat this shit up, that he deliberately looked like shit against Chisora to try and get the fight with Anthony Joshua. I'm not being funny. Could I be wrong? But when Anthony Joshua is fucking mandatory. Press 1 if I'm right. Press 2 if I'm wrong. That was bizarre. Am I wrong about that? He literally fucking told Dev Sani on Queensbury Channel in a sit down interview. He literally told Dev Sani that he looked bad against Derek Chisora in order to get the fight with Anthony Joshua. But I thought Anthony Joshua was your fucking mandatory, right? Am I right about that or wrong about that? I mean, some of the shit he comes out with is fucking bizarre, man. And people just lap this shit up. They lap this shit up like it's fucking, it's unbelievable. Some of the stuff he does say is bizarre. He intentionally looked bad against Usyk, against Chisora, to try and get a fight with Anthony Joshua. How is that possible? He was your fucking mandatory. And who does that? Oh, okay. LD Phoenix says, mistranslation. I think you're wrong. He used the wrong words. Okay, if that's the case, I take it back. I thought I saw the it and Dev asked him, so did you look bad deliberately? And he said yes. I could be, if I've read a mistranslation or something, I'll take that back. But some of the stuff is just bizarre, man. It's bizarre. You know? Some of the stuff is bizarre. Some of the stuff about, I can't talk, actually. I've got to be very careful now because we're going to very, very dangerous ground. But some of the stuff about fucking what we saw on the battlefield as well. I don't know, man. There's a few things that are coming out of Oleksandr Usyk that are making my eyebrows rise a bit. Let's put it that way. Do you know what I mean? I've got to be very careful what I say. And I love the guy to bits. Do you know what I mean? He's a fantastic boxer. We'll talk about that in a minute. He's a fantastic boxer. But anyway, I just think, like I said before, people need to be a little bit more. I know he's a fantastic boxer. He's in a different league to Daniel Dubois. He's a different league to Daniel Dubois as a fighter. I'm not disputing any of that. He might beat Tyson Fury. He might be the best heavyweight in the world. I'm not disputing any of that. He's definitely one of the greatest fighters of all time. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, I do think with Usyk, people just need to pay a little bit more attention to the things he says out of the ring and the stuff he's doing in the ring. That's all I'm saying. Because there's been multiple occasions now where he's been hit with shots that appear to be on the belt line and possibly okay. And then he's going down in a fucking heap and he's got referees jumping in to protect him all over the place. And, you know, it's hard enough when you're getting in with a guy like him anyway. It was always going to be Daniel Dubois. It was always going to need a one-punch type of shot to get him out of there. And it's bizarre. And like I said, I'm just concerned about that. And all I'm saying is, I know I haven't articulated myself very well. I apologize on that. I'm not on form. But I'm a little bit concerned with the narratives. And I'm a little bit concerned about the political... the the political nature of some of these fights. Do you know what I mean? I think it's important that, you know, I know there's a conflict going on, but I do think it's important here that what we do is we try and I'm not saying it, but I think we need to try and judge fights fairly, innit? What I don't want to see is, I don't want the judges to see pictures of the fucking Ukrainian president giving speeches before fights and stuff. Press one if you're with me on that. Press TV disagree on that. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to start seeing political speeches. I don't want the judges to see fucking Zelensky up there and all this kind of stuff and a bunch of stuff, because to me, like I said before, it inadvertently puts pressure on people to see things in a certain way and to act in a certain way. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I just want to see the politics out of the sport. It's a fight between two guys, yeah? It's a fight between two guys. Gee, if it's a cry fest, why are you listening? Why don't you just go and listen somewhere else? What's the point in even commenting? I don't understand. Why would you listen to something that you don't enjoy? Why don't you just go away and let people who do enjoy it listen to it? Like, how does what you're saying make any sense? No one's forcing you to be here. Nobody is forcing you to be here. So, do you know what I mean? Just go away and go and let somebody else enjoy it. Simple stuff, innit? I don't understand why people get upset. Right, let's crack on to Daniel. I don't understand, innit, why people cry and complain. Just go somewhere else. It's like it's the only channel on boxing channel on YouTube. There's loads of other channels you can go and watch. Go and enjoy them. You don't have to listen to this. If you don't like what I say, I'm cool with that. Go elsewhere. No one's fucking forcing you to be here, mate. Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. All the time, innit? Right, let's have a go. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, Mark Gilroy. It was the whole thing's becoming very, very political, you know. I was on the battlefield. I saw people with no arms and no legs. I saw this and that, people getting blown up, you know, Zelensky behind the scenes. The whole thing's starting to get a bit too much for me. But that's my opinion on it. All right. I did take that bad. I did take it bad, G. I did. Let's have a look. Let's move on. All right. Milan says, ain't seen Nico teases the UK. Of course, they always disappear. Hey, has anybody seen Nico since I was right about UCAD and Conor Ben? Has anybody seen Nico? Nobody ever seen Nico again. Am I lying or am I not lying? Press one. Nico never been seen again, by the way. Nico. No one's ever seen Nico again. He was here every day, innit? Telling us Dubois got cleared by UCAD. Telling us Ben got cleared by UCAD. Right? But I've never seen Nico since, innit? Shout out to Nico. Right. 229 of you are still here. Okay? I'm going to now have to lay into Dubois. You ready? I'm now have to lay into Dubois. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I asked two very, very well-known coaches last night their opinions on the low blow. One said it was debatable because it's down to what the referee defined before the fight. And the other one said he thought it was a good shot. So for what it's worth, I'll tell you there. I'm not going to mention the names of the coaches. You will know them. They are extremely, extremely well-known coaches. So I'll leave it at that. I asked two extremely, extremely well-known coaches last night what they thought. One thought it was a good shot. The other said it was borderline and it depends on what the referee defined in the rules before the fight. All right? So it is what it is. Brytek, can I ask you a question before I carry on? Is that the legit Brytek? Like Brytek saying they are not going to reverse? Is that really the Brytek? I'm going to check your channel, Brytek, because this guy is like a legend in the IT game. Let me quickly say this before I move on. This guy, Brytek, yeah, has been making videos on YouTube for about 2 decades. And he was one of the first people on YouTube to start making videos about IT and helping people get into IT. This guy's like a living legend. Like Brytek's like Brytek actually kind of helped me get into IT. He was doing videos like 15, 20 years ago, yeah, on VMware and Windows Server and how to do desktop support. So this guy is actually a living legend, man. Like one of the very, very first people to start doing videos to help people on YouTube get into IT and understand how to work with servers and how to do desktop support and stuff. So if that is him, I have to say I'm honored, you know, because that guy is a literal living legend, man. Like Brytek, you kind of helped me, man. Brytek, with some of your videos about 20 years ago, you helped a young brown brother get into IT, mate. Brytek, you helped a brown brother get into IT with your videos on. I swear you used to do videos on desktop support. I didn't know, Brytek, I didn't even know what a fucking hard drive was until I started watching some of your videos. And 20 years later, I'm a software developer. Not a very good one, but I am one, mate. So if that's you, I really appreciate you because you've done a lot of content for people. You've helped a young brown brother get into the development game. All right, no problem, brother, no problem. Right, shall we move on to Daniel Dubois? We've got 236 in here, and I'm about to lay into Dubois. Let's go. Last night, I have to be honest with you. That is the closest I've ever come to calling a fighter a quitter in all my life. I've never done it in my life. I never would. But I had to be honest with you. I found it so hard not to call Dubois a quitter last night. Like, dude, I'll be honest with you. There's no point in there being a rematch. A rematch is pointless. If they do a rematch, he'll get stopped earlier by Usyk. It's a waste of time. So Frank Warren and all this rematch talk, Daniel Dubois doesn't need a rematch, in my opinion. The best thing they can actually do, the best thing they can actually do with Dubois is actually use this as an opportunity to rebuild him. Use this as an opportunity to rebuild him. But to me, he doesn't have world champion written all over him. And can I just say, I've always said that Daniel Dubois isn't a top fighter. I've always said that, by the way. Have you ever heard me on this channel say that Dubois is going to be the next big thing, or Dubois this and that? I've always been dubious about Daniel Dubois. Always. From day one. I've always said he's one-dimensional. He throws the same fucking combinations. He loads up on every... he loads up on combinations. He fights in the same pattern. Jab, right hand. Jab, jab, right hand. He throws the same patterns, the same shots. He's heavy set. He telegraphs everything. He is absolutely made for a fighter like Oleksandr Usyk. He is made for... If you grew a fighter in a lab for Usyk, they'd fucking literally be growing Daniel Dubois. You know them labs where they grow like GM crops and that fucking Beyond Meat shit that they'd be selling in these fucking stores now, innit? Lab-grown meat. They'd be growing lab-grown Dubois. Someone get me a meme of Oleksandr Usyk in a fucking lab with a test tube, yeah? Literally making a baby Daniel Dubois. He made for him, man. Dubois is made for him, man. He's made for him. He's not quick. Doesn't punch in combinations. He throws the same shots. He fights in the same patterns. He telegraphs. He's heavy set, and he's got a questionable gas tank. And he's got a questionable mentality when he gets hit. He fucking made in a lab. I will open the lines, by the way. So if Jason wants to come on, and if Andre wants to come on and whatnot, I will open the lines, all right? So just bear with me. So I will open the lines for you all to come in if you want to talk. So he's made for Dubois. He's made for Usyk. He's made for him. I would never call a fighter a quitter, and I never will, because I haven't been in the ring. I don't have the right to say that. Tony last night said, well, even if I didn't have a fight, I still have the right to say that. Yeah, you'd have the right to say that, Tony, but I would 100%, I'd boot any man off this channel that said that. I wouldn't allow them to come on this channel. I wouldn't. Someone who hasn't been in the ring, I don't like it, and people who haven't been in the boxing ring and had a fight, call people quitters. But Dubois last night, that was the closest I have ever come to calling a fighter a quitter. I thought he could have got up one more time. That's my opinion. I feel so bad saying that, but I do have to say, I wanted him to just get up one more time, even though he was done. He was done. He was gassed. He was finished. Same old story. The pace of the fight is too high. The pace of the fight was too high for him. I thought his performance deserved it because it was a career best performance from Dubois. A career best. I thought it was outstanding, considering he's a very limited fighter who's never fought at that level before, and you're throwing him in with probably the best heavyweight in the world, right? And I thought the way he was making Usyk miss, he didn't get enough credit. He was making Usyk miss a lot. Didn't get credit at all for making Usyk miss. He's making Usyk miss. He was countering the counter puncher. He was baiting Usyk's left hand. He was going to slip the left hand to the outside, throw the right uppercut, throw the right hook to the body. It's one of the very, very few times that I've seen somebody start to actually read Usyk in a fight. I'm not sure Anthony Joshua ever read Oleksandr Usyk in the ring the way that Dubois did later on in that fight. Like, it literally, to me, Dubois started to read him, moving backwards, started to read him. He started to look to see that left hand. And when that left hand was coming, he was slipping to the outside of the left hand. He was looking to counter. I've never seen somebody do that at heavyweight to Usyk. I think he did a fantastic job of also rolling his shots. He did a much better job than Anthony Joshua did in the first fight of just rolling underneath some of Usyk's shots. I'm not a big fan of that because I think tall people should fight tall. So I'm not a big fan of that. But nevertheless, I think Dubois made Usyk miss quite a bit and didn't get a lot of credit. A lot of Usyk's jabs, left hands were missing. Dubois making him fall short. And Dubois was trying to, like I said before, was making him fall in a bit with that left hand. It was making him fall in, roll, uppercut to the body, hook to the body. So Dubois was actually doing a decent job of counterpunching the counterpuncher in parts of the fight. So for me, considering that Dubois is limited, I mean, if you look at the difference in the performance from Dubois versus Lorena versus Dubois versus Usyk, it's like we're seeing two different fighters. Would you agree with that? Press one if you agree, press two if you disagree, which is always why you need to look at a wide range of fights, not just look at one fight, I guess. Because if you look at Dubois versus Lorena versus Dubois versus Usyk, to me, those are two completely different fighters. Would you agree with me on that? Press one on that. So I think Dubois deserves credit. And I think, like I said before, it'd be nice to see him. I don't want to be careful what I say, but it'd be nice to see him go out on his shield maybe a little bit more. And I was hoping that with Don Charles being in his corner, Don Charles was going to put his foot on his neck to say, no, you're going out. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I've heard stories about Dubois. We've all heard the stories about Daniel Dubois, yeah? Billy Nelson won't come on this show because we all know... Billy Nelson doesn't want to come on this channel because Billy Nelson's worried about the questions that I'm going to ask him. That's why he don't want to come on this channel. We all know this, yeah? I love Billy Nelson to bits. Billy Nelson don't want to come on this channel because he's worried about the questions that I'm going to ask him, right? But from what I gaze, both in sparring and in fights, Dubois doesn't like it when he starts getting shots back, does he? He doesn't like it, does he, Dubois? And that's the problem. And I was hoping that Don Charles would be the guy to say, no, Daniel, you're going out. Daniel, wake up. Daniel, this is for 3 titles. This is for the Unified Championship of the World. Daniel, you're going to get hurt. Daniel, you're going to have to get up off the canvas. Come on. But to see the way he went out, he got up, got on one knee, he looked at his corner, and then he timed it to the 9, and then he got up on the 9. That did upset me. What do you guys think? Am I wrong for saying that or not? It upset me, man. It proper upset me to see the way he went out in that fight, man. Just looking at the corner, 1, 7, 8, 9, and then he just timed it on the 9 to get up. Or you know the one. Oh, I've got to put 9, but the ref can't. Come on, Daniel. Come on, bro. Just give it one more. Just give it one more. Just give it one more go. Because you're boxing so well, man. You're boxing so fucking well, man. You're boxing so fucking well. Career best performance, man. Forget the win, forget the loss. You're going to lose. You're going to get taken out. I understand that. But I would just like to see him just give it one more go. Do you know what I mean? Just one more go. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong. And you guys know me. I don't normally say that kind of stuff. And you guys know that. I'm the last person to say that kind of stuff. But I have to say, the way that ended, it didn't sit right with me. The way that ended from Daniel. I'd like to see a little bit more, you know. But like I said, only he knows how he feels. He's had an eye injury. It is what it is. But if I'm being honest with you, I don't think this is the beginning of Daniel Dubois at all. Like people say it's the beginning of Daniel Dubois. I don't think it's the beginning of Daniel Dubois. All right, Jason, give me 2 minutes and I'll bring you in. That's cool. I'll bring you in, Jason. We'll start opening the lines. Give me 120 seconds and I'll open up the lines, okay? You guys can all come in. Let me get my headphones ready. So give me 2 minutes and let me charge these headphones. But I don't think this is the beginning of Dubois. Press 7 if you agree with me. Press 8 if you disagree. I don't think this is the beginning of Dubois at all. Because I don't think that... I had a chat with Mrs. Ultra last night about the reason why, I don't box. Mrs. Ultra literally came in, and we had a chat here in the office. This is my home office. I have an office. You guys have seen the pictures, right? And so give me a sec. I'm just charging my headphones because of Jason Walker, and Andre and these lot are going to come in. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be calling in a second. We got 230 in the chat. Please feel free to like button. If you want to be part of the chat, please subscribe. We never ask you for super chat. We never ask you for money. We never beg. We never ask you for PayPal. We never do any of that. All right. We don't give a shit about any of that because we have jobs. Right. So Mrs. Ultra came in yesterday and we had a chat about why I've never had a fight. Because I'm 38 now. I've never had a fight. The reason why I've never had a fight is because what people don't understand about boxing is boxing, as I keep saying, is not as much of a chess match as people think. People who do not box, who have never put gloves on, like to romanticize boxing. And they like to make it out to be this kind of magical chess match where fighters are in the ring and fighters are sitting there going stuff like this. They think fighters are thinking like this. Oh, he's going to throw a left hook at a 45-degree angle. Okay, when he does that, I'm going to pick up my left hand, catch my left hand back. Okay, and then parry with my right hand, and then I'm going to shoot the right hand straight down the middle. And then when he takes 2 steps forward, I'm going to take... That's not how boxing works. Boxing is about 2 things: fitness and instinct. Jimmy Jam, I've been in a few street fights and I've pretty much lost every single one. I'm better at boxing than I am at street fights. At street fights, I am terrible, right? But boxing is about fitness, is about heart, first and foremost. If you don't have those 2 things in the boxing ring, I can tell you right now, you shouldn't be getting in there unless you're exceptional. You need fitness and you need heart. And if you don't have those 2 things, in my opinion, you should not be in a boxing ring, right? So first and foremost, before you get in the boxing ring, you need to have a base level of fitness. You need to have a certain level of fitness. You need to be in a certain condition so that when things can get tough, and when it becomes difficult to breathe and things like that, and things become tough and things like that, that you can get through it, right? If you don't have that basic level of fitness, you're not going to last. You won't. Doesn't matter how skilled you are. Eventually, you're going to meet somebody who's not as skilled as you, but is relentless and has done the work, and is far fitter. And they're just going to swarm you and overwhelm you, and they're going to find their way. And that's happened in boxing loads of times. We've seen loads of times, where great fighters, I always say Vernon Forrest beat Shane Mosley twice in a row. And many people consider Vernon Forrest to be pound for pound the best fighter in the sport of boxing. He got beat by Ricardo Mayorga twice, who was a glorified slugger. Do you see what I'm saying? You need to have the basic level of fitness. Then after that, you need to have the mentality. When you get in the boxing ring, I believe, you need to have the mentality that it's almost kill or be killed. Does that make sense? That's my opinion. You need to get in a boxing ring and you need to have, a certain level of no sympathy for your opponent. That's how I feel about it. You need to get in the ring and it needs to be like, look, if something happens to this guy, then so be it. Are you with me? Press 1 if you're still with me. Press 2 if you think I'm talking shit. But you need to have that in your heart, in my opinion. You need to have it where, look, when I get in this ring, whatever happens to this guy happens. If he don't wake up again, then he don't wake up. Because it's him or me. And it ain't going to be me. And I feel like if you don't have that in your heart and you don't have the base level of fitness, then you've got no business being in the boxing ring. That's why I don't get in the ring. I don't think Dubois has that in his heart. You don't have that. Like, you get certain fighters and they're on top in it. They're on top fighters. But when they get hit, when they get hurt, when they get hit, when they get hurt, they can't take it. Anthony Joshua's a bit like that, isn't he? Anthony, let me get the link out. Anthony Joshua's a bit like that, isn't he? What do you guys think? Where when he's on top and he's landing shots, he's fucking brilliant. But does Anthony Joshua truly have it in his heart? You know, did Mike Tyson have it in his heart? He's another one. Mike Tyson. We know about what happened to Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson was in I box, James. I box. I do box, mate. That's the thing, mate. I do box, but I just haven't had a fight. But I do box. But I'm going to ban you anyway, James, because you're talking rubbish. And with a name like Mockridge, I hope that's not your real name. I hope your mum didn't name you James Mockridge. James, before I ban you, can I tell you, is that an alias? Please tell me that your fucking dad didn't name you James Mockridge. Just please tell me that before I let you go. That's terrible. Is that your real fucking name? Jesus fucking Christ. Not even a double barrel. They didn't even give you a double barrel name so we could ignore the Mockridge bit. They didn't even give you a decent middle name to put in between that. They literally call you James Mockridge. You've got a picture of your fucking crab in your fucking profile picture and you're questioning if I've ever been in the ring before. Are you delusional? I think you must be out of your fucking mind, mate. James Mockridge. You must be crazy, dude. James Mockridge. You sound like the guy who fucking carries my bags at Waitrose. That's what you sound like. Do you know at Waitrose you've got them little guys at the end of the checkout, and they put the bag in. They put the stuff in the bag for you. You know, you got them little boys, and they got the little apron, and they got the little green apron on. They got the little green apron on. Can I bag this for you, sir? Who do I box? I boxed at several places. Never had a fight, but I boxed at several places. I boxed at Fitzpatrick's gym, and I boxed in Swindon in the same gym as somebody who fought for a British title. It was a Commonwealth title. So it was a Commonwealth champion and boxed for a British title. I've been in the ring with several people. Guys have had 25 amateur fights, 30 amateur fights. I've actually been in the ring with somebody, very light, with somebody who's been on TV recently in a fight that was shown on the Zone, which I'm not going to say the name. So that's me. I've given you my opinion, James. So now I'm going to ban you, all right? James, before I go, have you ever boxed before? Before I let you go, James, can I ask you, just out of interest, have you ever boxed before? Because you've asked me, I've told you. So have you ever boxed before, James? Let me know. Yeah, Luke Watkins was the guy. Correct. So I've boxed. I've sparred in pro gyms before, not against pros, but I've been in with a pro. But the pro took it light on me. The pro took it very, very light on me. Cause I don't like saying that, but yeah, I've been in. Yeah, no, I've been in loads of boxing rings. Have you? I've been in loads of boxing rings. You ever boxed? I've been in boxing rings up and down the UK. Absolutely, mate. Have you boxed? Before I let you go, James, let me know. Have you actually boxed? Let me know. Let me know if you boxed. You ain't boxed shit. The only thing you box is fucking eggs, and you couldn't even do that properly. Get out of here, man. Absolute clown. Jesus Christ. Come to Waitrose, and I'll put a green apron on you. And what you can do is you can put my crab pate in its bag, all right? And you can walk me to my car. That's what you're good for. Yeah? There you go. That's what you can do, James Mockridge. Come to Waitrose. I'm going to put a green apron and a bow tie on you. Yeah, and I'm going to stand you at the end of the checkout. And when my crab pate, yeah, and my roasted lamb comes through that checkout, and you're in your little bow tie, yeah, and your little fucking green apron, I want you, yeah, to put it in a bag for me and then take it and walk me out to the car. Simple as that. Absolute clown. What are you guys talking about? Guy couldn't box eggs, man. Never boxed. They won't answer the question, will they? Won't answer the question. Next minute, he'll be telling me how he's going to knock me out and all this stuff. These guys are fucking delusional. Right, let me get the link out. Sorry. Some of these guys talk pure rubbish. If you don't like the show, don't listen. So simple. I'm not saying I'm a tough guy, but you asked me the question, have I ever boxed? I've been in the ring before. Yeah, definitely. I ain't good enough to fight. And that's the point about Dubois. Dubois doesn't have it. Let me see, get the link out for Jason Walker. Jason Walker, this is for you. Sorry about that. Sorry for getting sidetracked. That's the link for Jason Walker. Yeah. What do you guys think about that? About Dubois? What do you guys think about that? You just have to have. I just think you have to have something in you, in your heart, don't you? I don't think there was anything wrong with what I said. Do you think there was something wrong with what I said? You need to have something in your heart, don't you? And I don't think he does. You know, if you're in a game, right, and you're just a bully, and you can't take it and dish it out. That's why I like Hrgovic. Because Hrgovic is a guy that I know with a guy like Filip Hrgovic, yeah? That he can dish it out and he can take it. So I've got a lot of time for someone like Filip Hrgovic, even though I don't think he's technically great. But you know Filip Hrgovic can take a shot and dish out a shot. You can't have it all your own way all the time in boxing. And if you're one of them personalities where you have to have it your own way and you're not prepared for a bit of give and take, then I don't think you should be in the sport. So that's a long way of me saying, I don't think, yeah, that this is the beginning of Daniel Dubois. I actually think it's the end of Daniel Dubois. Genuinely, like, I think it's the end of Daniel Dubois. I don't think he has it. Let's get my headphones, one sec. I don't think he has it. I don't think he's technically good enough, and I don't think he's mentally there either. What do you guys think about that? Let me bring Andre in 1 second. I just don't think he has it. What do you guys think before I bring Andre in? Do you think that I'm unfair for saying that? I don't know why I was getting flack for saying that. I just think it's just standard, isn't it? Sometimes I just think, in closing, before I bring him in, you have to be honest about whether you're in a fit state to get into the ring and compete at a certain level. Do you know what I mean? I have to be honest with you. You have to be at a certain You have to be honest with yourself about, are you in the right physical and mental shape to go into the ring at that level? And I think sometimes you need to be honest with yourself and say, actually, you know what? I'm not physically or mentally at that level. All right, here we go. If I can get this fucking mouse work. Here we go. Sorry, StreamYard froze. Jason, just leave us off muted for 1 sec, Jason. Leave us off muted. I just want to bring Andre in very quickly. But Jason's here. Andre.
Afternoon, Ultra, and all my boxing friends around the world. How are you all?
Not too bad. Just do me one favor, Andre. If I'm in the background, just mute me in the background because it's coming through. That's all. Just mute me in the background so you can't, you can't hear anything. Okay. Andre, say your piece. I'm going to go make a cup of tea, Andre. Say your piece.
100%. Cool. Let me just first address a few things with regards to the fight itself. Okay, let's just address the elephant in the room about the low blow. From my personal opinion, I thought it was low. Okay, bearing in mind that nowhere in the rules does it say you've got to get hit in the balls to be considered a low blow. Nowhere does it state that. I felt that his protector cup was not exceptionally high, like Tyson Fury's, and that normally is in a lot of other boxes. Even Lennox Lewis used to wear his protector cup very high. So I do really believe that it was a low blow. I think it got him in sort of the lower area by the sort of the bladder, that type of area. I don't say it hit him directly in the balls at all. But I do believe that it was a low blow. And I mean, a low blow, a lot of people misconstrued that you got to get hit in the balls. It doesn't say that. It says below the belly button. And I do believe, I mean, if you get hit in that area, it's very sensitive down there, even before your groin, just like above that pubic bone. So I do believe it was a low blow from my personal opinion. Now, I understand it's debatable. Everyone will have their own point of view. But from my personal point of view, I do believe it was a low blow. Second of all, you got to look at a person like Usyk. Yes, he's been vulnerable to low blows in the past and so on. But he's not a person who I feel would throw a false situation in play here, that he's been hit and he's not in pain if he really wasn't. So he doesn't have a history of that type of behavior. Then with regards to Usyk itself, okay, guys, Usyk, if he was given, say the ref had adjudicated it not to be a low blow, okay, and he started counting for Usyk, I guarantee you, no matter what state Usyk was in, he would have risen by 8 and he would have continued the fight. There is no doubt in my mind about that. He would have never thrown his title away like that, no matter what excruciating pain he was in front of his home audience or anywhere in the world for that matter. I don't believe that is within Usyk's DNA to have done that. So let's just confirm the fact that the ref never started counting. And I can assure you, I feel if the ref had started counting, Usyk would have risen in time and continued, and he would have lived out the round, and he would have lived to fight another day in round 6. As he continued on anyway, and in the end of round, near the end of round 5, he was backing Dubois up, and he was getting some shots in. Daniel never jumped on him. Any normal person would have known he's vulnerable. The most amateur fighter would have known he's vulnerable and would have thrown the... Sorry, Ultra?
Carry on. Sorry, please carry on, Andre.
He would have thrown... Please carry on. Sorry. He would have thrown everything but the kitchen sink at Usyk, and he would have just gone for broke and say, fuck it, now's my chance. I need to take this guy out of here. It's now or never. All right, then looking at other aspects of the fight. Dubois had a huge opportunity for these titles. I'll be honest, from my personal point of view, I think it was very undeserving that he even got a title shot. Considering the fact he lost to Joyce, considering the fact that Trevor Bryan fucking joker, he fought, he could have just as well fought a corpse and he would have won. So that was a joke. And then with Kevin Lerena, guys, correct me if I'm wrong here, but where was Big Mouth Bricktop when Daniel Dubois hit the floor 3 times or took a knee 3 times in that fight? Doesn't the WBA's rules state that if you go down 3 times, fight over? Frank Warren was nowhere to complain about that. So really, you can see what happened in the Lorena fight. He got clipped on the side of his head on his temple, a la AJ. And Ruiz is the master of that punch because he got fucking Ortiz like that as well. When he was fighting Lorena, I mean, he literally took a knee. Daniel Dubois looks for his knee like you look for a fucking off-ramp on the main highway, okay? That is in his DNA, guys. It's a fact. He's proven that over and over and over again, okay? I must address another point. Guys, I've had a massive knee injury. I've had a full patellar tendon rupture of my knee, and I've previously had an ACL break. Guys, assure me, if your ACL goes, you are in so much pain, it feels like your fucking legs being shot off by a shotgun. There is no way. I'm yet to see any proof that Daniel Dubois had ACL operation and he ruptured his ACL. That guy wouldn't have been able to stand. He wouldn't have been able to walk. He would have been carried out or wheeled out in a wheelchair. I want to see that proof that he had that injury. I think that was a ruse that happened there to try to justify his pathetic performance. So with him getting the opportunity to fight Usyk, it was non-deserving to start off with. Daniel Dubois isn't in the same universe as Oleksandr Usyk. He didn't deserve to be in there in the first place. Right, then just looking at the round 8 knockdown, it was also a slight punch. I think it was a left hook on the side of the head, etc. But then getting to and then was ready looking for the knee. Okay, then round 9. Guys, I've got to just mention this. As big a prick as Tyson Fury is, all his condescending ways, all his fucking irritating, total psychotic behavior. Can you imagine Tyson Fury getting knocked out by a fucking jab? Guys, that guy was put into another universe by Deontay Wilder in the first fight, and he found a way to get up literally from the dead. That is a never give up and don't die attitude. Similarly, credit, as I mentioned to you before, must be given to Deontay Wilder. He has that same never die mentality. And there's one or two fighters that have that same never surrender, never die, or carry me out on a stretcher or bury me. I mean, for Daniel Dubois to get knocked out by a little fucking jab by a southpaw, I feel is an absolute disgrace. For that world-class opportunity, even if he couldn't breathe, even if he never had energy, he should have had the will to want to continue. I think it is ridiculous. It's beyond embarrassing to get a little jab, to take a knee, and to intentionally only rise at the count of 9. I think he really brought the heavyweight division's name down a number of notches, because I don't believe there's any other fighter that would have had that get out of jail card attitude and give up. I'm sorry, I've never been a boxer myself. I've followed it for 40 years, boxing. And even if I haven't stepped in the ring and had any rounds, I do believe he quit. And his historical facts prove that. With the Lorena fight, although he won it at the end, but he should have by right been counted out. And also there was the excuse, obviously, with Joe Joyce that his orbital was broken. Fair enough, that maybe happened. But what is his excuse this time? What's the excuse this time that he went to his knee and stayed there with a jab? Ultra, I think it's a disgrace. I think that his performance was so unbecoming of a challenger for a heavyweight title. It's disgusting. And that's my 5 cents, Ultra.
No, fair enough, Andre. I appreciate you as always, man. And thank you very much for coming on, brother. I really
Thanks,
appreciate
brother.
you. And,
Cheers,
no, anytime, brother.
Cheers.
Anytime, Andre. Anytime, Andre. Well, you heard it there. Okay, Jason, you want to come in? All right. Let me just say, Andre, if you're listening, I didn't want to say anything while you're on the thing, but about Daniel Dubois' ACL, as far as I'm aware, it depends what kind of injury he's got. Because if we look here on Google, it says here, in general, grade 1 ACL tears, blah, blah, blah. General rest and healing time is about 2 to 4 weeks. So I would say, to be honest with you, I don't think there's a given rule that if you injure your ACL, that's it. You're absolutely done and dusted for XYZ. It looks like here it depends, on what grade of tear you had. Maybe Daniel Dubois had a grade 1 tear, and like I said before, the healing time is between 2 to 4 weeks, maybe a bit more. So it actually depends, what kind of tear he has. So I would say, in defense of Dubois and that ACL, I actually don't think there's any evidence that he made that up. But that's just my opinion on that. But nevertheless, your points are the same. Jason, I've dropped you the link, so you can now feel free to come back in. We're asking about Daniel Dubois. Does Daniel Dubois have what it takes? I'm quite interested while we wait for Jason to hear your guys' opinions, on what you think I said earlier on about, I got criticised quite heavily for saying that. What was it? What did I get criticised for? I got criticised for disputing whether, Daniel Dubois has what it takes. I don't know. I'm not sure about it. Hey, Jason, let me bring him in. All right, brother. Can you hear me loudly and clearly?
Who, me? Yeah, I'm here, bro.
Yeah. Wagwani.
What's happening, my big dog, man? Sorry I missed the show last night, man. I fucking wanted to be on and listen to it so much. I look forward to it after the fights, but I was just, I went away with the wife and I couldn't, at a hotel in Ireland. So I'm just nicking on now. She's gone out.
Very nice.
Yeah. All right. Fucking double fuck cunt. Double fucking cunt. Oh my God, I'm so fucking angry. Boxing is the most fucking corrupt, fucked up sport, bruv. I swear it's so fucked up. That sneaky little fucking Ukrainian cunt. Fucking wanker. Obviously, bruv, Dubois was never going to outbox Usyk. I lost 300 pounds. I had it for the knockout anyway. He was going to lose every round. He had been training for that one shot. It was right on the button. Usyk's fucking belt is an inch above his fucking belly button. If you see the punch, it was still 2 inches was above the fucking thing. It was bang on the money. It was a perfect shot. He's never going to land a shot like that again. Fucking, do you know how lucky he was to get that shot? Fucking hell. It's just so disgusting. And Dubois, right? So Dubois went to the fucking most racist atmosphere. It's like fucking going to play Galatasaray. They're all neo-Nazi right over there, whether you want to admit it or not. Fucking hate blacks, man. And he went there. It must have been the hardest fucking atmosphere. And he didn't melt or crumble. He stood well. He's nowhere near. He's had 12 amateur fights. He's nowhere near the fucking fighter as Usyk was. He was everybody going, oh, well, Usyk boxed his head off. What do you mean? Of course. Of course he did. Usyk's one of the best boxers fucking of his generation. It makes me sick, man. It makes me sick. There's no point for a rematch.
No, there's no point. I agree with you on that. There's definitely no point.
No point for a rematch, bro. Usyk will have his number now anyway because he knows he's after his body. He'll go at him further. Daniel doesn't fight as well on the back foot. After he chases him, he'll finish him. I'm just so fucking fit. And the reason why I'm so pissed off, because Andre was going on about it wasn't on the balls. What did Usyk say? It was on my balls. What did Usyk say in the fucking thing afterwards? Does Dubois have any power? He goes, no, Dubois has no power. Only in my balls.
It last time, you know that.
Fucking dick wasn't coming out of your navel.
Yeah, it's a weird one, Jason, because his shorts were quite. He wears his shorts quite high as well, and this isn't really the first time, really. But look, it's a bit.
So yeah, pull your trousers up now. I'll show you. Pull your trousers up, me. It's an inch above his belly button.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, he's gone. Yeah. That's the Wi-Fi in Ireland. That's good. This is quite a. It's a weird one for me. I'm not sure either way, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Warren says he'd like to call in. Warren, if you like to call in, you're welcome to, Warren. As long as you're cool, dude, I don't mind. You can call in. I think most people can see I'm pretty fair. I don't I never attack anybody unless they fucking attack me, for whatever reason, whatever. I'm not sure. I agree with Andre, by the way. I don't think Usyk faked getting hurt. He was hurt. It's just a question of where it landed, really. I don't think Daniel Dubois will get a better shot in his career. I think that's the best shot that Dubois is going to have in his career. Oh, Jason's back again. I don't think he's going to get a better shot in his career. So we'll have to wait and see what happens about that. I think that was Dubois' one chance, innit? And it was. All right, brother, you're back. Carry on.
Yeah, sorry, man. I just obviously, I just hate corruption in boxing and shit. And if Usyk, it was Usyk that said it was on the balls. He's a blatant cheater. It wasn't like he said, it was just low. Usyk said it was on his balls. It was nowhere near his cup. It was nowhere near. Every time they had every time there was a low blow that wasn't even low, Usyk was fucking doing the thing. He done the same thing against Joshua. As soon as Joshua caught him with a nice low shot to the body, he looks to the ref. He looks to the ref to try and get it.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, mate.
I agree. I agree. No, it's fine. I agree with some of that. Absolutely. What I was going to say is, one thing I do agree with you on is this. I think that if Dubois, if Usyk had landed that shot on Dubois, the referee counts that 100% in my opinion.
Of course. Oh my God, of course. Look at him trying to give him
yeah, 100%. Pabon, yeah.
Disgusting, bro. It's disgusting. If Usyk landed that, it would have been out. Yeah, man. It was thingy. He was out. He couldn't. And
I don't think. No,
I respect Andre. I respect Andre enough, and I'm not here to argue with what he said because everyone deserves their own opinion. But honestly, Andre, if you think he would have been able to get up on a 10 count, mate, you are smoking crack. You've obviously never been punched in your belly, first of all. Yeah, you've never been cracked full pelt in your fucking navel or your belly button. One, because if you did, he basically shit his liver. He couldn't move. He was shaking. I didn't even know if he was going to. He was finished.
In my opinion, this is just my opinion. I don't believe he could have made it up. I've never seen it like that. He looked. In fact, can I just say, if he actually looked towards the corner, and I swear he was shaking his head at one point. I could have seen him shaking his head.
The pain must have been. Yeah, the pain was so much, bruv. The pain was so intense, he couldn't do anything. Fucking bullshit, bruv. You know what I mean? The referee giving him more fucking extra time. He's like, and then Andre also said, I wanted to pick up about, he should have jumped on him. He tried to jump on him. He just had a 5-minute break. Usyk has recovered. So when he tried to step to him and tried to up the pace, he realized that I'm going to end up gassing myself. He's not gassed. He's not fucking.
I agree. No.
Go on, mate.
I do agree. I do agree. But do you think Andre's? It's a weird one. Okay, so let me ask you about the end of the fight. Do you think that Dubois could have carried on?
Yeah, but that's Dubois. I'm not a thing. There are different types of fighters, and Dubois isn't that type of fighter. He's not that when it going. And also, I just think of how it must have been mentally for him. I'm not trying to stick up for him because he got his ears boxed off. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is how much mental. So every time he hits him with a low blow, the referee's telling him no. He lands the perfect punch in the middle of a fucking hellhole, and the referee doesn't give him anything, keeps fucking reprimanding him. I swear his confidence and shit must have just gone. I'm not trying to stick up for him quitting. I'm not. I'm just saying that must be demoralizing so much. You know what I mean? It's like nothing he done. Nothing. He knew he wasn't going to outbox Usyk on points. He gets the killer shot. The referee gives him enough time so he can't jump on him. As soon as he hit him with another fucking body shot, Usyk's looking at the referee. Dubois must have literally thought by the 7th round, I can't win this fight.
Jay, man,
it's not me sticking up for quitting. It's not me sticking up for quitting. I'm just saying how he must have felt. He's young. 25 years old. He's a baby.
Let me ask you
it's disgusting.
About... do you think that was a masterclass performance from Usyk? I thought he boxed tremendously well. Would you call that a masterclass? Because
when you get hit with a body shot and shit your liver? I don't think that's a masterclass. He was always going to box him. He was always going to do that against Dubois. It's like saying, did Man United put on a masterclass against fucking Brentford? It's fucking Brentford. 12 amateur fights. 12 amateur fights. He was going to box his head off. This is fucking ridiculous, bruv. It was always going to be like that. And Don Charles said something about, he was right. It was 2 fights last night. He won the first and lost the second. He's spot on, Don Charles, man. Spot on with that. Honestly, if it's outrageous. I tell you what, I can't wait for Fury Usyk. I can't wait. I'm going to put my house on Fury, bro. Are you crazy? He is going to fucking smash him to bits.
But he's never, but Fury's never been. Wait. But Fury has never been a big body puncher. He's never been, until Wilder 2. We've never really seen Fury focus on the body. I just think it's a different fight. I think it's a completely different fight.
The body goes for the head. I'm not saying that, oh, he's going to go for the body and do him. Fury smashes Usyk. I thought Usyk was slowing down. I thought he didn't look as sharp. I didn't think he looked as good anyway, especially as the level of the boxer he was fighting, you know. Nah. I didn't think so. That's just my opinion, innit? That's just my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own. I hate corruption and fucking cheating. I know about boxing. I know where boxers wear their shorts, where the navel is, where the thing, how many inches that was. It was also because it was thrown from a low. It was thrown low and came up. So that if it was thrown high and came down, because it was thrown low and came up, it already looks lower because the punch started below the waistline.
Yes.
But by the time
I don't know what to say. Yeah.
By the time it hit it, there was most of the glove. One angle looked like that it was equal, and the other angle showed that it was still there was 2 or 3 inches of the glove which were just coming over the top of the waistline, and none it was bang on the waistline. The waistline is above the navel. What? Fuck me. Disgusting.
Wait.
Disgusting.
One last thing, Jake. Let me just say one last thing.
Let me just say one last thing.
Just do me a favor. Can you just mute me there in the background? I can hear myself.
Yeah, sorry, man.
There's no problem, bro. You look at Usyk's performances at heavyweight, right? If you were to take out that performance against Anthony Joshua in the first fight, which I thought was outstanding, right? If you look at Usyk's performances at heavyweight, I'm just saying, Chaz Witherspoon, meh. Chisora, meh. AJ1, outstanding. AJ2, AJ had a year to prepare for a rematch, so you've got to give him credit in that. I thought he was hurt badly in the ninth attempt by AJ. And then this performance, right? I'm just being devil's advocate here. I rate Oleksandr Usyk, I always have. But if you look at Usyk's performances at heavyweight, other than Anthony Joshua 1, have there been any actual outstanding? Like, I'm just trying to understand where, Jason, this hype is coming from about he's unhittable. He can't, Russ Amber saying it's a masterclass. Russ Amber saying he never got hit. All this kind of stuff. I don't see it, Jason. See, unmute yourself, Jason. Unmute yourself.
This bullshit. People, like we said last time, they make him out to be Lomachenko. He gets peppered. Look at his face after the Chisora fight. He gets literally peppered, bruv. That's not to say he doesn't still dodge loads. He's amazing. He's a great, but he takes some solid shots. That's why I have money on Dubois, because I thought to myself, Dubois will land. And one thing I know about Dubois, he can whack. So I went, do you know what I mean? I put 30 quid on it, 9-1. It's disgusting. Fucking terrible, bruv. Absolutely disgusting. Honestly, man. Fucking terrible. Imagine what he does for that. Imagine what it does for that kid now. Imagine how much he's, again, I say it again, he trained all his life, done all that. He can't even get a fair shake of the dice. Fucking outrageous, bro.
All right.
I'm going to bring in Joe. Jason, I really appreciate you.
Nice one. Thank you, bro. Loving it. Nice one, G.
Of course, all the time, Jason, anytime. Joe, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
It's good. Yeah, it's good to hear you, man. It's good to hear you, Joe. No, seriously, it's always good to have you on. What do you think? I'm just trying to stay in the. Do you know what I mean? I'm just listening. It's hard for me because I don't want to say too much, and it's like the whole thing's. I don't know, Jay. I just think the whole thing's becoming very political, and some of the things that people are saying doesn't make sense to me. I do think it possibly was a bit low, possibly borderline, whatever. I don't have a problem with it, but like I said before, Joe, it all comes down to what was discussed. You know, but if the referee has told Dubois and Queensberry, right, that the belt line is XYZ, and then obviously it's not, then that's a different story. But what do you think about it all? Give us your opinion.
I think I think it's an interesting one because I think most people can agree that it's borderline to some degree, and then beyond that,
It's close. It's a close call. I don't think
if-
it's a big either way.
No, yeah. I mean, if Queensberry have been told what they claim to have been told, then it's cut and dry, and it's a bit of a robbery. But if not, I think it's interesting because then it's just what do you favour? Do you favour fair treatment for fighters from the past, and in that case, that's not a low blow because those rarely get called, or do you favour just sticking to the exact rules that are drawn up? Because if that's the case, then as you know, a number of people, I think Tony mentioned it yesterday, Tony Bellew mentioned it, a few people like that. If it were to be that it's below the navel, then if you're going straight by the rules, then there's no problem in calling it low. So it just kind of depends where you sit on what you value in what the ref makes the call about. So I think that anyone getting really reactionary and going either way about it, I tend to say that there's probably an element of truth to either side of the discussion. But yeah, me personally, I'm not heartbroken about the decision. I think that I almost think, to be fair, I wouldn't have been particularly I wouldn't have complained at all if it had gone the other way. But
I think I'm exactly where you are on that. By the way, I'm exactly where you are on that. Actually, when I looked at it last night, though, I'll be honest with you, the first thing I thought is that is not a low blow, and I said that on air. When I saw it live, and then I saw the actual footage, I think I said that is not a low blow. But actually, when you hear about it from people who are a bit more experienced than me, maybe I start to think, maybe it's not as a bad decision as what we first thought. What do you think about Usyk's performance last night in general? And how did you think and how do you think about Dubois' performance as well relative to Anthony Joshua?
So I'll start with Usyk. I think you can never question the fact that Usyk's got that determination throughout to the second half of the fight, and that he really turned it on near the end, and that was very impressive. Relative to his other performances, I thought it wasn't fantastic, and I think he's definitely on the decline because his foot speed's starting to wane, and that's a huge problem for him because it's almost like when we talk about how he's hittable, I think one of the main reasons why is because his first line of defense is essentially his foot speed and his foot positioning. And if that's to go, then his defense is going to be severely lacking. Like his upper body movement's good, and his head movement's pretty solid, but he exits the same side a lot, and there are definitely like chinks in his armor. Like he can be hit 100%. So I think if his foot speed's to go, then he's toast.
Well, I think it's a very good point you raised. He did look a bit gassy to me. He did look a bit gassy
a little bit.
To me, a bit earlier than usual, didn't he? But what do you think about Dubois?
I thought at the beginning,
relative to Anthony Joshua, who do you think? Yeah, go on. Sorry. Well, there's a delay. That's why I'm talking over you. Sorry, there's a little delay.
No, that's fine. That's just my shit Wi-Fi, to be fair. But no, I think, to be fair, that Tony said yesterday, he said, I think you got to give AJ more respect because he went the distance twice, and I've got to disagree with that. I don't think that you can say. I think the fact that Dubois pushed him a lot harder than AJ. I think you'd say that Dubois probably put in the better effort between the two, to be honest. But I don't know. I just think that Dubois took on instructions quite well with regards to going to the body much more often. I think if AJ had done that, if he could soak things up a bit more easily, perhaps we would be, be sitting there and AJ would still be champ. Who knows? But yeah, I don't think either of their. I think the one difference is that Dubois' one was undoubtedly, in my mind, a career best. That was he showed me things in the first few rounds there that I would not have guessed that he could do. He boxed really, really well at the beginning. Whereas, I don't know, AJ didn't really shock me in either fight, to be quite honest. Yeah.
Do you think, no, I'm listening. I'm muting myself. Let me ask you. People are saying this is the beginning of Daniel Dubois. I don't think he is. What do you think?
So, I've got a slightly different opinion on labels to boxers than you. I still think that people are really too reactionary and go straight over the top with like, this person's a coward, this person's this person's that. Like, they're all boxers, they're all hard bastards at the end of the day. I wouldn't want to line up against any of them. But I think I'm not so worried about the label of quitter. I'd be happy to label Daniel Dubois to an extent a quitter. And the reason being is that this is what he signed up for. Like, this is his life. This is what he signed up for. And when I label him a quitter, I don't mean in all forms of life, all facets of life, and that he's weak mentally or anything like that. It's just he just doesn't have that like psychotic fucking mindset that you need to be the absolute best. So I don't know. I don't think it's the beginning of Daniel Dubois. I don't think it's the end of Daniel Dubois. I think he's just like solid contender level on his day, in my opinion. Like he could probably fight against all sorts. He can mix it up with a lot of good fighters. But not a champion in my eyes.
No, I actually, do you think Usyk would have got up? Because people are saying
No.
he definitely would have got up. If the referee started counting, he would have got up. What do you think about that?
Nah, like I classify myself as far as all the heavyweights go. I think Usyk's definitely he's definitely my favorite. Like I'm a bit of a fan of Usyk, but he does no fucking chance he gets up from that. Like he was shaking. He was absolutely fucked on that.
Yeah, he's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Does it? What about Fury? Fury, did this fight change your opinion about what happens if they meet? Did it change your opinion in any way, or not, or whatnot?
Not particularly. I made Fury a fight favorite against Usyk beforehand. I'd still make him a favorite. If anything, I'd just lean slightly more towards Fury, so long as he's like semi-living the life. We all know Fury's not living the life, but as long as he's not like sandblasting prostitutes and cocaine and all that, he should be all right.
No.
He's probably got enough to beat Usyk, I'd say. But yeah, I don't know. We shall see. There is one thing, sorry, that I just wanted to add in to
right.
what you were talking about earlier with Andre with regards to ACL injuries. And I thought it was interesting the thing that you got up about, what is it, the like stage 1 or the type 1 sort of ACL
different grades. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, grade 1. That's the one. I think it's quite interesting because I don't think grade 1 are particularly common. I think almost the career-ending ones seem to be equally as common. This may just be that they don't get mentioned much, grade 1 ones, but I'd like to make reference to basketball because if you look at all the fighters who've had ACL injuries, like top-level ones, as far as I'm aware, there have been 2 like top-quality ones who've made a recovery out of literally hundreds, and that's Kevin Durant and Jamal Crawford. Apart from that, I don't think any of them have made full recoveries from ACL injuries. So unless loads of people are getting little niggling ones that go away very quickly and they just aren't commented on or aren't reported on, I would assume it's quite rare to get one of those case 1 ones or stage 1 ones or whatever, grade 1 ones.
Yeah. The thing with basketball is, though, you're putting a different level of stress on the knees, aren't you? Because in basketball, you're jumping.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and a lot of change.
And in boxing, you're not jumping off the canvas. So you're putting a kind of a different stress. So I would imagine in basketball, you're probably more prone to getting serious ACL tests because you're jumping.
Oh yeah,
you're coming down on the ground. And coming down on the
ground.
No,
that's true. That might be the
that's
case.
How some of these guys are. Whereas in boxing, you're rooted to the canvas. But you could be completely right about that. Joe, listen. I always appreciate you calling in, man. You don't know why you put yourself down too much. Give us your final comments, and then we'll move on to the next caller. Give us your final comments on where you see the boxing, the heavyweight division standing at the minute.
I'm quite indifferent towards the heavyweight division at the moment. I think that there are a huge number of fights that could be fun to make that won't get made. Just kind of where we usually are, to be quite honest. And I think that the whole Saudi Arabian money and everything is a real issue now, especially with the fact that it gives us another avenue to go down of avoiding fights, basically, because it's always around the corner, that next big payday. I think Usyk's now going to have to wait and fight Hrgović, and that's going to be an absolute snooze fest because Hrgović has gone stale. And yeah, I think
Hrgović has got a genuine shot in that, by the way. I think Hrgović has got a genuine shot.
I quite liked Hrgović early in his career. I just don't. I mean, his last few performances have been so uninspiring. It's been incredible. I mean, the only performance I let him alone for is the Zhang one because his dad had just died. He'd been out of the ring for a while, and Zhang was actually far better than people gave him credit for. Apart from that, I think Hrgović has been a bit stale recently. But yeah, right. I won't bore you any longer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on, and see you again.
Thank you very much, brother. Take care of yourself and see you soon. All right, brother. See you soon. See you soon, Joe. Okay, right. I think we are getting close to that time, We're getting close to that time. Let's go through some final comments. I don't know. If anybody else wants to jump on, let me know. We're getting close to that time now. And yeah, what do you think? Do you think I've been unreasonable in what I'm saying today? I think I've tried to be very reasonable, actually. I don't think anything I've said has been really unreasonable, but obviously a few people would disagree. I'll be honest, I'll say it again. I don't think this is the beginning of Dubois at all. I think it's the beginning of the end for Dubois. I think it's the beginning of the end for him. I have to be honest with you and say it how I see it. He doesn't strike me as a guy who can take it and no, we're not doing that. Tony, I'll wait for Tony for a sec to sign us out. So I'll wait for Tony, but sorry about that. Yeah. But for me, yeah, I don't think he has it. And that's sad to say that, but I don't. I just don't think he has it. I do not think he has it. And it is what it is. So it's what it is. Oh, by the way, people talking about Fury versus Usyk. That ain't gonna happen next because fucking Hrgovic is mandatory. So I would say don't waste any time worrying about fucking Usyk and Fury because that ain't gonna happen. So it's Hrgovic now, and Hrgovic is never stepping aside after seeing that performance. He'll be licking his lips. He'll fancy his chances, Hrgovic. He really will fancy his chances. So it's Hrgovic next. So it is what it is. Let's go through some comments. Man like Ryan says Usyk can't deal with no one in front of him. He didn't deal with Dubois last night. I thought he won and dominated the entire fight. He just got hit with a shot, and that's why I feel bad for Dubois about it, because that was the only chance he had to win. Did he do enough? It was what it was. But Usyk is on a whole different planet to Dubois and dominated the fight. My prediction for the fight was Usyk TKO around 6 round 7. I was surprised it even went that long, to be honest. Let's have a look here. I was going through some more comments while I wait for Tony. Ultra, do you think Dubois doesn't have it mentally or physically or both? He doesn't have it mentally, in my opinion. He doesn't have it mentally. He doesn't have it mentally. So the point I was trying to make is, like, you know, Mexican fighters, right? How many times have we seen it, yeah, where British fighters, British top prospects get in the ring with these Mexican fighters, don't they? With these Mexican fighters, and they come unstuck or they come into trouble. How many times have we seen it? Like, you see these guys, yeah, and they're maybe not the most skilled guys in the world. They maybe don't have the best technique in the world, yeah. Maybe they don't land the shots. Maybe they're not, their shots aren't crisp. Maybe they loop their shots a lot and things like that, right? But they still end up doing damage, don't they? And they still end up causing upsets, and it's still a tough challenge. And that's because I think the Mexicans put a very, very big emphasis on what I put an emphasis on earlier on, which is before we work on refining your skill, right? And before we work on refining, you know, this and that, are you actually tough enough to dish it out and take it in the ring? Press 1 if you agree with me on that. Press 2 if you disagree. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess Mauricio Lara, who's a little bit better than that kind of level, but you know, these type of fighters where you look at them, yeah, and they're quite crude, aren't they? That technically, you look at Mauricio Lara is a crude fighter. He loops a lot of his shots. Aesthetically, he's not pleasing to watch, right? And he doesn't throw shots properly, and his head comes over his front foot. Like, technically, like, he's not a great fighter at all. And we see this a lot with some of these Mexican fighters, where technically they ain't the greatest fighters, but that's not really their priority, because before they get in the ring, their first priority is, are you actually tough enough to be in the ring? And when I mean tough enough, yeah, they prioritize not just being able to dish it out, but they prioritize being able to take it. Press 1 if you agree with me on that. Press 2 if you disagree with me on that. Does that make sense? They always prioritize, can you take it? Like, that's a big thing it seems like to me in Mexican boxing culture. Oh my God, that's definitely a ban. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. That's definitely a big thing in Mexican culture to me. You know what I mean? Like, are you tough enough to take it? They don't just celebrate fighters that are flat track bullies that can dish it out. I'm going to give you the link, Tony. That can dash it. That can dish it out. Yeah, there's always Ryan Garcia. There's always exceptions to the rule. There's always exceptions to the rule. But you know what I'm talking about? Mexican culture, boxing culture, they prioritize, yeah? Are you tough enough to be in the ring? Are you tough enough? Before we start working on that, are you tough enough? Can you take a punch? Right, can you dish it out? And they prioritize that. They prioritize themselves on being warriors and being able to handle themselves in the ring. So I think there's a certain mentality that you need to have before you step in the ring. And I don't think Dubois has that. I think Dubois is a guy who, when everything is going well, brilliant. But I think when the wheels start to fall off, then he loses. He doesn't. And if there's an open door, he will find an exit. And I don't think you can. I don't think it's particularly right to be boxing with that mentality, and I don't think it's safe either. I don't know what you guys think. I don't think it's safe either. Yeah, obviously you need to know when to quit. There's a fine line, yeah. But I don't know, you know. And I'm just saying, like, I'm no Daniel Dubois, but that's the reason why certainly I'm not interested in boxing at the minute, because I just don't have that means I make too many excuses. When things get tough, I make too many excuses. Do you know what I mean? If things get tough in sparring, I'm looking for excuses. If things get tough on the heavy bag and you're looking for excuses, if things get tough on the pads and you're looking for excuses, if things get tough in conditioning and you're looking for excuses, then you shouldn't be in a fucking ring. In my opinion, you shouldn't be in a fucking ring. And Daniel Dubois just strike me as one of them guys, you know. I don't think it's safe for him to be in there. Tony, what's going on?
So let me tell you how I disagree with you and why I disagree with you. So you could be the best in the world and still be a quitter. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. When things are easy and you outclass everybody, you never get tested. So you could be so talentedly gifted that nobody can ever push you to the breaking point of where you fight through it or you don't, and you could look amazing. However, when that one person steps up that can meet you, your fire with their fire, and it's a back and forth, that's when you're tested. And that's when you see if somebody really has it. So when you're dominating everybody, yeah, you're a great fighter, but that doesn't tell us if you have heart. And that's the thing about it. You could be the best in the world and still have no heart. So again, looking at a guy like Triple D, we've seen it on numerous times. He quit against Joe Joyce. He quit in the Usyk fight, and he damn near quit in his last fight. So he doesn't have it. It's lacking. He doesn't. It's just like if you look at Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, right? Without a doubt, Anthony Joshua is more technically sound than Deontay Wilder. But the difference is whenever AJ got hurt for the first time, he was looking to his corner for help. He didn't know what to do. He was getting bounced around the ring like a pinball with very little offense coming back against Andy Ruiz Jr. When Deontay Wilder got hurt for the first time, he still fought through it. Whether the towel was flying in the air, he was in the midst of throwing a left hook. In the third fight, when he got put to sleep, he was still trying to swing, and he got countered and put to sleep. He never gave up. Whereas AJ, you could see that he doesn't really push through. Even against Usyk, he didn't really assert his authority against that power that was coming back at him. He met him halfway. And that's the thing about it. That's why I always said that, can AJ beat Wilder? Yes, he could technically outbox him. It is possible. But if they both get hurt, without a doubt, AJ loses. Because I know Deontay Wilder will not stop throwing. If it's a firefight, it's over. AJ has lost. He has to get in there and outbox him. Because if AJ gets hurt, he's going to give up. Daryl Dubois against Usyk in the 8th round, he went down without even being hit. He got touched a couple of times. He ducked underneath. I want to say it was like a left hook. And he also went underneath a straight, and then he went down on his own when he saw Usyk coming at him, about to hit him at the end of that 8th round. Then in the 9th round, he gave up. He gave up. He was looking at the referee. He was fully conscious. He wasn't wobbly. He had his full equilibrium, and he didn't want to continue. So that's where I disagree with you on that. As far as because I know you brought this up way earlier about you have to be gifted enough to be a boxer. Well, that's with any sport. I agree with you there that you have to have some attributes that make you good enough to fight, whether it's your timing, your speed, your power, your IQ, etc. You have to be good enough to do it. However, once you do it, this is where I disagree. It is a chess match. If it wasn't a chess match, you wouldn't see things like feints. You wouldn't see people do like little stutter steps to try to make somebody bite. Once you get to a certain level, it's all mental because you're fighting guys that while you may be the best physically, it's very little that separates you. So where you
can I just say that's the point I was trying to make there. That's the point I was trying to make. So yes, at the lower levels and at my level, yes, it's more fitness based. But you're right. Once you get to the highest levels, because everybody has that base level of, not everybody, but because most fighters have a certain base level of fitness, etc., then yes, it does become more of a chess match. You're not blah 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 blah. But yeah, I do get what you're saying. Carry on, Tony. I just wanted to clarify that. I don't know if I made sense there. But carry on.
Yeah. And I was just going to caveat off of that. Like you brought up Mauricio Lara. While he may look very crude to the outside eye, right? If you put him in there with an amateur or a novice or somebody that's never boxed before, he's going to look like Muhammad Ali. So, even the guys at the top that don't look like they're the most technically sound, even like a Deontay Wilder, who I brought up earlier, if you put Deontay Wilder against somebody off the streets, he's going to look like a technical genius. So while they may not look the best at the top level compared to guys at the bottom, they are the best. It's kind of like looking at a different sport like the NFL. Every guy that sits on the bench is a college star, or I don't know, soccer. The bench warmers, they're all the best from wherever they came from. So to get back to the low blow, I believe it was a low blow. I wrote this earlier in your chat. Here's the thing. Only in boxing is there gray areas. If this was the NFL and a guy was running for a touchdown and his foot barely went over the white line, like just grazed it, and then he made a touchdown, the ball would be dead where he stepped out. If it was soccer, where me and Genghis Khan were going back and forth, if a soccer player barely steps out of the boundary line, the white line, and then he comes back in and kicks the ball again. It's a dead ball. It doesn't matter if it grazes it.
Do you think?
Go ahead.
Do you think there should be VAR in boxing? Do you think there should be cameras to show the referee where this punch landed, where it landed, and then they can go back and review the footage and decide? And do you think there should be also? Do you also think that things like the pre-fight rules meeting, or do you think that the some of the things that the pre-fight discussion when a referee comes into the changing room and speaks to the fighters, do you think that boxing can be a bit more open, and that in an age of technology now, what we need to start doing is the referee should be on camera giving the fighter instructions in the changing room before the fights? Maybe we should, have the rules meeting documented, and then maybe on top of that, do you think we need some kind of VAR or some cameras to sort of take the controversy away? Other sports are doing similar things, right?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. I say yes and no. Like, I would say yes for knockdowns, right? If it's a knockdown that was a blatant forearm, elbow, etc., or blatantly low, then I would say you could do a replay. But in this case, a replay would have done you no good, because you would have ended up with the same situation. Usyk would have went down. The referee wouldn't be able to count because they're going to put it underneath review, and then he's still going to be up on his feet whenever the fight continues. The only difference is it would count as a knockdown versus, you know what I mean? Like, boxing is in real time. You can't really stop the flow of action, because if you do, a fighter that was hurt now has his full faculties back, which is the same thing that happened last night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you take time to review a tape to see if it's a knockdown or not, clearly the fight's going to keep going on because he wasn't counted out. It was a controversial call for it being low. So the only difference is instead of it being a low blow, no count, it would be a 10-8 round for Daniel Dubois, and the fight would continue, because by the time they replay it, you know what I mean? Like, the referee would
it makes sense.
Yeah, like you would have to stop the count to look at a replay.
You'd have to do it. I think the only way it could work is if you just agree to give the count regardless. So what they do in football is they give the goal, right, and they go and review. Actually, no, let me know if I'm wrong about that, but I think what they have to do is do the 10 count. They'd have to do the 10 count and then review it afterwards.
Yeah, but even if you did that, right? So let me throw this at you, right? Let's say they gave Usyk the 10 count, okay? And let's say by some miracle he made it up, even though I don't think he could. But let's say he beat the 10 count, right? Okay. He's ready to go. He's done. All Daniel's got to do is jump on him at that moment. The 10 count's over. However, now you stop the action and look at the replay. Now you're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, however long it takes for them to figure it out. So he's resting the whole time. So the flow of action has stopped. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the guy that gets knocked down would have an advantage because he'd be able to recover.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know how you would do it. I don't know how you would do it in boxing. Now, what I would say is this, real fast, and I didn't mean to cut you off. What you could do is you could have a designated person on a TV screen, right? Like, put a Bluetooth in the referee's ear, and then you have a guy who's designated to watch all the knockdowns on the TV screen, and he be the one to rule if it's a knockdown or not, and he's talking to the referee at the same time. I guess you could do that.
Yeah. It's just it is what it is. Tony, in closing, we're going to sign off. I'll give you my view, and then we'll call it a day. I just feel, and this is my opinion, like I said before, I just feel for me that to get in the ring, you'll have your view. You've been in there. I just think you need to have a certain mentality. To box at the level that Dubois is boxing at, right? To get over the line and to be more in it. I just think you need to have a certain mentality. I think you need to have it where you need to get in there. And it needs to be, look, if something happens to this guy, fuck it. That is what it is. And if something happens to me, then fuck it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't think Dubois has that in him. And that's why the only thing I would say is when I see stuff like Queensberry and Frank Warren like demanding for a rematch and saying we need to get a rematch on ASAP, I don't think a rematch is going to do Dubois any good. I think a rematch will just get him beaten even quicker, beaten to a pulp, and then really finish him off. And I think if anything, what this signifies is that he needs a rebuild. He definitely needs a full rebuild, which they're not going to do, but he does need a full rebuild, because the way that it ended last night with him, sitting there taking a knee, and he's looking and he's timing when to get up and stuff, it just didn't sit right with me, and it upset me, Tony, because he put in such a great performance beforehand, I think, like I said before, I would have liked to have seen him just get up if he could have one more time. But he seemed to me quite content to sort of look for the way out, in my opinion. And then afterwards, he's talking post-fight about how he got robbed and this and that. And at the end of the day, even though I think, look, it may have been the legit shot, it may not have been whatever. That is the difference, isn't it, between the likes of an Usyk and the likes of Dubois. You see, when Usyk gets hurt, obviously he had 5 minutes to recover, but then he comes back, didn't he? He comes out, he comes swinging, and then he increased the intensity and he starts hurting Dubois immediately after, you know, and things like that. We've seen it with Wilder, we've seen it with you, we've seen it with these other fighters, you know. Even guys like Hrgovic, to be honest, Tony, who I think technically aren't great, but you've seen it in them where they have the ability to hang in there, don't they? They have the ability to say, look, I'm going to take this punishment. I'm going to keep coming forward. And I just think it's something that for anybody out there who's thinking about boxing, and I've always said, yeah, boxing for me, Tony, isn't for everybody. And there's no harm in admitting that it isn't for everybody. And I've never been the kind of person to come on this channel and say shit like, yeah, you know, I'm this, I'm that, I'm great, I've won a few spars on this, on that. I never try and come on here and make myself to try and be something that I'm not, because I believe boxing is not a sport. I think everybody should do it. But I think actually having a fight and doing it, like, or being like a serious amateur or becoming a pro or whatever, I don't think it's for everybody. And I just think that before you step in the ring, you need to have a long chat with yourself and also your partner. But you need to have a long chat with yourself, yeah, about who you are and what you are really about, because anything can happen in that ring. And people, Tony, have died in white collar fights in this country, unlicensed, basically. People have died, like, you know, this year in white collar fights in this country. It's not always safe. So I don't know. I'm going to ask your opinions on that, but for me, yeah, you have to just look at yourself. Tony, I looked at myself, yeah, and I had this chat with my missus last night. 7 weeks, 8 weeks to train for a fight, Tony. Tony, if I had a fight in 7 weeks, yeah, I would do absolutely nothing else. Like, literally, like, Tony, I get sacked because I'm one of them people who I'm an obsessive compulsive. Yeah, I will do nothing. I will probably overtrain. I will train probably 3 times a day. I'll probably get injured even before the fight starts because I'll be overtraining. I will think about absolutely nothing else. I would live, breathe, and do nothing else but train for those 7 weeks, which would not be healthy. It's not the best way. I wouldn't be able to wind down. It would completely affect my relationship. My anxiety would go through the roof and peak, Tony, because I suffer from anxiety. I'd be shitting myself before the fight, and I'd be shitting myself going into the fight. And then I have to ask myself, you know, Ultra, you're a guy who cuts corners in training. You know, when a coach asks you to do, you know, your push-ups or your press-ups or sit-ups, you're a guy that tries to get out of it, Ultra. You're a guy who, when sparring gets tough, Ultra, you try and back out of it. Like, you don't have it in you. You don't have that in you until you prove that you do have it in you. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you can't do it in sit-ups, if you're giving up when you're doing your press-ups, if you're giving up when you're doing your sit-ups and you're saying, right, that's enough, then you're going to give up in the fight most likely. So I'm just being honest. Like, sometimes fighters have to look at themselves, yeah, and say, is this for me, like, to get to the level I want to get to? And it's not for everybody. Sorry for rambling on, Tony. Please give your thoughts, and I'm sorry for rambling on.
No, you're fine, and I was listening. Yeah, I do agree that everybody has to have that heartfelt talk with themselves. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this really for me? But you got to understand at the same time, there's a lot of money involved, and especially a guy like Triple D who's already had a lot of backing pushing him. You know, do you want to give up that paycheck, or do you just want to, you know, keep knocking over cans, get it paid maximum dollar for it? But you just have to realize that's all you're ever going to be. You're never going to be a champion, and that's where he's at. Like, he can look impressive against lower tier guys, but he'll never be. I mean, I know they had him ranked in the top 10, but he never really beat anybody of any consequence to be up there. Unless we consider not Chaz Witherspoon. Why did I say that? Fucking, what's his name from America? Who he got the title off of? The dude.
Trevor Bryan.
Trevor Bryan. We consider Trevor Bryan a good win. You know, I don't even know how the fuck Don King bought that belt for him. That dude was horrible.
Sweet man.
But yeah, like, you just have to realize
Trevor Bryan's handing out tampons at the weigh-in. Tampons at the weigh-in, bro.
That dude was horrible. But yeah. But anyways, Ultra, I say this too.
All right,
you gotta understand, like, a lot of guys, like, I don't know, because I'm not in his camp. I've never been in his gym. I've never seen how he trains. But a lot of guys get pampered too. And what I mean by that is they get beat up for the first time in a real fight, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to react. So that's when the real heart comes in. They just give up. When they're not fighting, see, sparring to get ready for a fight should only be about 70, 80% so the fighter doesn't get injured. However, when you're not going into a fight, you should be going hard. You should be beating your fighter up so they know what it's like to be on the back end. So they know what it's like to be down. That's why I like round robins, where you get in the ring, you do 12 rounds, and every 2 rounds, or it could be less, every 1 round, you switch people you're against. So every round you're getting exhausted and there's a fresh body getting in front of you. So you are forced to be put on the back foot. A guy less skilled than you now becomes more skilled than you, and he's pushing you back, and you have to fight through it. I think a lot of these guys, their coaches just don't push them. Just like you said, you cheated on your sit-ups, you cheat on your push-ups, you cheat on your sparring. That's where the coach needs to step in and be that driving force to push you past your limits. Some people won't push themselves, but that's why I say coaches are vital. They're vital. A coach can take somebody and make them better than what they would be naturally, because you need that driving force to get you there. You can only do so much on your own, no matter how skilled you are. But yeah, I agree with you though. I think you have to have that personal talk. You have it or you don't. And when you realize you don't have it, what do you want your career to be? Do you want it to be you're just a gatekeeper, a mid-level fighter, knowing that you'll never make it to the top, and every time you do, you get beat up, or you don't? You know what I mean? But again, you have to ask the question. A lot of people who box, that's all they do, because boxing requires so much time. Like, a lot of people don't understand on the come up, boxing doesn't pay anything. You might get a couple of $100s for a boxing match. So you have to have a full-time job while you're doing a full-time camp. And you know, a lot of people can't invest time to like when you look at other sports in America, the NBA, NFL, MLB, etc., you get drafted out of college. You have an education, so you have a fallback. A lot of people who fight, they don't have no fallback. You don't have time to go to college, because then you would have to do full-time college, full-time work, full-time fighting. You know what I mean? Like, boxing is one of the only sports that's unforgiving, and it doesn't help you when you're a nobody. So a lot of guys, they just stay in it because it's the only way they have to make money.
Very true. Very, very true. Tony, I think I was going to call it a day. I'm just going to wait for Daryl, but Tony, that's sign us out, man. Just yeah, thank you very much for calling in. And I agree with a lot of what you said, man. I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm half out of it. I'm just waiting for Daryl to pop in. But Tony, yeah, that's going to be it, I think, unless Daryl pops in. So thanks, man. Thanks for coming in. You got any final words that you want to sign us off with, Tony?
Nah, I just appreciate you letting me on. People in the chat, don't forget, hit the thumbs up, because I guarantee you it doesn't match the view count. This is the fastest growing channel in the UK, and Soul Ultra's going to take over Talk Sports. So y'all better subscribe now.
Mate, thank you, man. I appreciate it, Tony. I appreciate you. Daryl, are you coming on, Daryl? Because we're literally you're supposed to be closing out for us, Daryl. Or are you going to do a Daniel Dubois on me? Here he is. Here he is. Just in time. Just in time. I thought he was going to do a Daniel Dubois on me and take a knee, bro.
Nah, man. I'm here, man. I'm here. Good to see you again.
It's all right. It's just me and you, Dazza. Go on, Dazza. Give us your thoughts.
Oh, I think Dubois did really, really well. For as long as it lasted, I think he showed heart. He was good in the fight. I think that really experience and confidence probably cost him. When I first saw it live, I did actually think that the shot was legal. But the more that I've watched it, and more that I've sort of thought about it, I think the majority of his glove was probably below the navel. I think it was probably a bit low. But really what I think, if he had more confidence and experience, despite the fact of going low, he should have just jumped on him straight afterwards and tried to apply a bit more pressure and test him back to the body again and just stick to that game plan. I think his lack of experience just got him really. He was like, oh shit, I've dropped the guy, but now he's up and he had a 5-minute rest. And he started to question himself. And I think his confidence really just dipped from that point onwards. And for the rest of the fight, it was only going to go one way.
Do you think, like me, that when that low blow wasn't given, do you think he had his exit planned? So, like,
I think so. Yeah,
he knew that was his chance. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean, Tony. Tony, you know what I mean, Daryl. He knew that was his chance, and when his chance went, he looked for a way out.
Yeah, he's hit the guy, he drops him, and he thought, wow, I've done it. And then mentally, like, he just shot his bolt mentally. He thought, right, I've done it now. And then when it wasn't given, And the more time he's had to stand there, get cold, 5 minutes have gone, all the crowds are booing and everyone's against him. And he's a guy probably lacking in confidence anyway. I think his level of confidence in himself just decreased as time went on. And I think mentally he was just done by that point. And his body language and everything else didn't look right. But the thing is, like, you know, when we often talk about wanting fighters to be aggressive and rough people up and go for it, but when that actually happens, you have to realize that the referee is probably going to penalize you for it, and the crowd won't like it. But you still have to be like steadfast enough in your game plan, despite that, to keep doing the same thing consistently. So if your plan is to be dirty, be dirty. Like keep going. And keep like imparting that game plan. You can't be dissuaded for the fact that, you know, the referee doesn't call it, or he calls time, or the crowd are against you. You've got to keep pushing and keep doing the same things. I think he sort of thrown the shot and got the reaction that he was maybe looking for, but then he didn't have the self-belief to continue on with that same game plan. I think he sort of mentally is checked out.
Do you agree with me that Dubois mentally has what it takes to be a top level fighter?
I don't think he has, unfortunately. I think he's probably someone that's naturally lacking in confidence, and that's probably why we see that his dad's so involved in his career. Like his dad's
that's
very
a fantastic
hands-on
point, by the
with
way,
him.
because his dad's a walking fuck up, and I know that for an absolute fact. His dad's a walking fuck up. Carry on, Daniel. That's a great point. Carry on.
Yeah, so his dad's always close by to him, and you know, he's got one of these sort of helicopter parents that always wants to be in control and always wants to be close to you. And I think as a grown man, if you've got a parent like that around you, it takes confidence away from you. It sucks it away from you, because you're always the junior, you're always the inferior one in that dynamic, and you're not the man on your own 2 feet going through life. You're always relying on somebody else. So I think Dubois is in his current setup and just probably his natural makeup is someone that's always looking externally outside of himself to other people for help. I don't think you get many top boxers who are looking externally. It will come from within.
I forgot what I was going to say, actually. What do you think about Usyk's performance? His performance. What do you think?
It was a strange performance. I think for me, I think that I was surprised that Usyk got caught as much as and by Dubois as he did. I think probably part of that may be because of the athleticism of Dubois. You know, and his Dubois' head movement actually looked quite a lot better than I've seen it before as well. I'll definitely give him that, especially sort of moving his head laterally from side to side. Like that looked a lot better than I've ever seen it. Yep. So whatever he's been working on in the gym head movement wise, it's been good. But yeah, I think Usyk probably looked a touch slower than what I've been used to seeing him before. But he's getting older. He's like closer to 40 than he is 30 now, so that's natural. It's going to happen. Obviously, with the skill set that he's got, he's 38. He's 38 next month. Okay, so yeah, he's getting on in age, man. So I think Fury would have watched that and seen loads of areas that he believes that he could probably exploit against Usyk. And if I was Fury, I'll be pushing for Dubois to rematch him one more time again, take more out of the tank, and then jump on him after that.
More out of him. Well, I think that's what's going to happen, because I think he's going to fight Hrgović, who's going to really fancy his chances in this fight. Because I think one thing about Hrgović is Usyk's going to ping him around like a fucking pin-up doll, because Hrgović has got no defense. So he's going to get pinged around, yeah? But Hrgović, I think, is actually going to be able to actually apply some actual meaningful pressure on Usyk, because I think Hrgović is willing to take one to land one.
The problem Usyk's got is if he keeps going through this murderer's row of like sort of these young average 6 out of 10 heavyweights, at some point, if he fights enough of them, he's going to end up losing, because he's getting old. You can't fight 5, 6, 7 guys in a row who are really young and hungry, because they're all going to sort of take a little 1% and 2% off here and there out of what you've got left. And then by the time you do actually fight a Fury, if you beat everybody to get that far, you won't be the best version of yourself. If I was Usyk, I'd just be looking to not fight anyone until Fury's ready.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. I've got Hrgovic will be absolutely licking his lips. So they're not going to give that up. So it will be Hrgovic or vacate or do whatever. I was going to ask you, so is that fight that we've seen last night from Usyk, has it changed your mind in any way about that Fury fight and how you think that would go? Has it changed your mind, or is it not changed your mind, or whatever? I'll be honest, it hasn't changed mine, to be honest. I don't think it's changed my mind about what I think. But for you, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's a hard one. I don't know. It hasn't changed my mind. I just think that if he was to fight Fury, he'd obviously fight very differently to any of the ways against any of the opponents that we've seen him fight against so far. But I do think that Fury's size and his ability to sort of work in up close might be the undoing of him. I think Fury might be a little bit too big. But saying that, Fury struggles against small guys, and he's been dropped by lots of guys who are around Usyk's height and weight, and with a lot less of a skill set than what Usyk does. So it's going to be a good fight while it lasts. I just think that if Usyk fights 2 or 3 more guys of this at this sort of level, the finished article that we see against Fury won't be as good as the fight that we could have if we just take some time to relax, recover, and just wait it out, because he's getting old, and you can't keep on taking damage against young, hungry, fresh guys for a very long time when you're nearly 40 years old.
Absolutely. Daryl, thank you very much, my man. I really appreciate you, bro. Take care, man.
Great show.
We're out.
Thanks a lot, man.
We're out.
Take it easy.
Anytime, Daryl. Anytime. Guys, hope you enjoyed the show. The next fight is Joe Joyce versus Zilai Zhang. I've got Joe Joyce to win that fight. So expecting more pain, but yeah, I've got Joe Joyce to beat Zilai Zhang in that rematch. Believe it or not, I think I'm one of the only people that has Joe Joyce to win that fight. I've got Joe Joyce to beat Zilai Zhang on points in the rematch. I've got that. So you can all laugh at me when that fails to come true, but there you go. I've got Zilai Zhang to get beat by Joe Joyce in the ring. I just think Joe Joyce is going to do it. Of course, Randy Savage says Eubank versus Smith next week. well. There you go. So it looks like if we still have a YouTube channel next week, then that's when you'll be joining me. All right. So Eubank versus, I've always forgot about that, innit? But so boxer shows are always good in there. Boxer shows are always a good clown show, aren't they? So hopefully there'll be lots of laughs, and hopefully I'll be able to cover that one live for you as well. I won't just do a post fight, hopefully live. Guys, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.